Welcome to this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters, the podcast where we chart the cinematic legacy of the classic monsters. I'm John Campbell. With me, as always, Brendan Jones.
Am I here? You can't tell. Maybe I'm behind you. Maybe I'm over here.
Maybe you're... I was going to say maybe you're hollow.
Maybe I'm cutting loose. Footloose. Kick off your Sunday shoes.
But no matter what, your CGI penis is on display.
Yep.
Boy,
that was actually in my contract.
Boy, oh boy. This is 2000's Hollow Man. Oh, Hollow Man.
The critics would not have had to have stretched very hard to come up with titles for their reviews.
No.
If your movie is called Hollow Man and it happens to be this bad,
yeah,
there's all kinds. I bet there were a few reviews that said there's no there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is no there here.
This has a solid 26% Rotten Tomatoes score. And that's generous, folks. That's generous.
Do find this. Yeah, it's generous. I will say this one. Actually, we've had other movies where we've been a little bit stunned by the quality of people involved.
Yes,
with what you get. And this is one of those things where this is a great director. I mean, he's a solid director, and it just depends on his projects.
But
this
for
is
the
a
most
great
part,
cast.
Across the board, a great cast. Basically, everyone in this is an actor I really like and think is very talented.
And this is the movie we got.
And the special effects are top of the line for the time.
And actually, I think they still look good.
For the most part, yeah, I agree.
Still look really good. And I'm like, oh, in the service of this.
This is my thought. You're right. This is what I was thinking too. We have seen movies like this where every single element is solid except for the script.
Except for the script
is terrible.
The script is terrible. And I will say
like really bad.
One of the points I'll make, and so I'm going to make it right now and probably a few more times, is that while I do love the cast, all of them, I mean, even Greg Grunberg.
Greg Grunberg playing the part I would be cast as if I was in this movie.
Yeah. One of the problems with this is, besides the fact that it was tonally conceived completely wrong and written poorly, but also talk about the Dimension Films kind of influence, the CW or the WB influence. Something that should not have happened is an entire scientific research group that's composed of people of all about sort of the same age, and all with the same kind of snarky attitudes, to where they're all quippy all the time. The problem is that they homogenize so much, and that is a problem. If you had an older guy in there, why isn't
Devane one of the lab people? And by the way, why is Devane only in 2 scenes? What a waste of a really good actor.
And even when he shows up, he's there to do the job. He doesn't look like he's phoning it in.
I don't think I've ever seen Devane phone it in. That guy is always just solid.
Exactly. So it's exactly right. And I just said, well, don't make it like it's a bunch of college roommates. This felt like Flatliners in the same way.
Oh,
but Flatliners very specifically was trying to be young,
they
hot
were
people.
medical students. And what's weird is Kevin Bacon's also in that movie.
Yep.
And I did read Roger Ebert's review of this movie, which I agree with a lot of until he starts nitpicking the physics of how fire works. And I'm like, Roger, that's far from the problem. You don't need a paragraph about why the fire wouldn't move like that.
I would have done a paragraph on how did they survive that electrocution, because they're standing in the same water.
Yes, agree. I mean, I'm just saying, like, boy, you can get lost in just the general action thriller stuff, but if you really want to harp on the movie, like I said, those are pretty common sort of like logic fallacies. There's so much worse about this movie. But one of the things he does bring up Flatline is he goes, but that movie, he goes, it's not a great movie, but at least it was about something. Because I do agree with him. This movie really has nothing to say.
No.
But it kind of acts like it does.
Yeah.
That's the thing that gets me. Because, oh man, I remember this thing coming out, and I was really excited for this movie. because I love Verhoeven, and I thought, great modern technology being used to tell a new Invisible Man movie. This is gonna be awesome. And this was a big summer like blockbuster.
The trailers, from what you saw at the time, made you believe that is exactly what it would be, and that it would have it is the Invisible Man for a new age, and it's going to be edgy. And they showed enough of the effects where you're like going, God damn, they've come a long way. This is going to be amazing.
And I still stand by that design of him in the plaster, like fake skin. It still is such a cool fucking design and legit unsettling when he has no eyes and stuff like that. And once again, I think everybody is, I mean, Bacon is going for it. The problem is there's nothing to go for. Like, this character
I will also say, yeah, that is a problem. But I will say also the big letdown is when you have a cast like this and no one seems to be agreeing on what the tone will be.
Well, that's my biggest problem with the movie is this was designed as like a big summer special effects movie, and this movie is no fun at all.
No.
It's insane what a great premise. I don't know fully where the breakdown on this happens. I mean, obviously it's in the script, but like maybe Verhoeven wasn't the right guy for this.
I think so, and I think that even actors here that I do like and are reliable, this happens if they're given direction that seems counter to maybe their instincts.
Yeah,
you get some wonky performances because some of the people here are including our buddy Kevin Bacon, but that's a lot of it in the script. But also Elizabeth Shue, who I know is great. But there's sort of like taking things to an almost cartoon level, and I'm like, wow, you guys are better than that, more subtle than that.
And I think some of that is on the directing, but some of that is back to the script once again, because there's no point where you can ground any one of these characters in anything. And Josh Brolin, like the three main leads of this are all actors I legitimately love, Brolin and Shue and Bacon, but like Josh Brolin is so boring in this movie. It's not his fault. It's just his character is speaking of flatline, a total flatline, just absolute bland good guy.
Yep.
And then Kevin Bacon is so evil, and this is one of the big mistakes in the Invisible Man thing.
I know where you're going with this.
He's a total scumbag from the start.
I think what I would have expected and appreciated is like, okay, I mean, even Griffin in the original story, he's arrogant, but he does become literally a supervillain madman by the end of it.
And Rains wrestles with it in scenes. There are scenes where he actually goes, I'm losing my mind. This guy is bad and then just straight up pure evil. And just like that.
Yeah, they went too far at the very beginning to make him creepy, not likable, and also this movie, part of what supposedly was a selling point was finally, because this is an R-rated film, we're not just going to dabble with what would it be like to become invisible. We're going to get into the stuff you've always thought about, but the other movies didn't have the guts. So in other words, it goes totally horny 12-year-old.
Well, and that's where the Verhoeven
and actually rapist.
And that's the thing about it is, though, you're like, finally a movie does it, and then you go, I don't want that, because then it's not fun.
I don't want that if there seems to be no commentary, and that there isn't.
There's no weight
here,
to...
It's just something he does, and he's going to die at the end, but he's not really going to die due to something that justice prevails.
It made me think, and we're still years out from getting to the Elizabeth Moss movie. But that's where, if you're going to do that, that movie works because she's the protagonist, and the Invisible Man is just a stalking evil presence. So you don't have to really, you're wrestling with what the effect he's having on his victims is. Here, who is the protagonist of this movie?
Well, that is another focal point problem, because we don't get to know, I mean, we get some kind of insight into the female lead, who is Elizabeth Shue's character, but we're not with her enough. for
No.
her to be our protagonist.
We
And as you said, you've got Josh Brolin, and he's just playing other guy.
I mean,
he's just playing other guy.
You root for them by default only because they're just not actively evil. Like, that's the thing. You just go like, well, Kevin Bacon's a fucking psychopath, so I guess I like Elizabeth Shue and I like these actors, and they're not doing anything evil.
And Kevin Bacon is not allowed to be more likable at the beginning, which is a big mistake.
There's more depth to his Sebastian Shaw performance.
Oh,
in First Class. That guy has more levels as a straight up comic book supervillain.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's great in that. By the way, I really love him in that movie.
It's not my take on the character, but he's certainly good in it.
He's really going for it. Once again, that's like and you know.
And I like that movie a lot. I just kept going like, oh, Emma Frost in the 60s. Sure, why not? He said with a question mark.
All right. I know this. I'm not surprised by any of that.
No. But still,
yeah,
I enjoy them.
It's a great movie. But I agree with is it Entertainment Weekly here talks about this San Francisco Chronicle might be a blast of ridiculous fun the way truly bad movies tend to be if it weren't so noxious and reprehensible. And that's total agreement where you just go like, well, this is just and especially because it's one thing.
This is just gross.
It's one thing if you do get into the sexual nature of it, but that's pretty much all he does up to a point. It's like non-stop attempted rapes until he segues into murder, which that jump seems insane to me as well. Like, you're like, wait a minute, why is he now just murdering people?
I mean, they keep dropping all these hints about, the longer they stay under, it gets worse and worse. They keep getting worse and worse, more aggressive.
That would work if he was not already a piece of trash.
We don't necessarily need to see him go from, nebbishy professor to buddy love, but we do need to see enough of a change. And instead, he goes from an egotistical, arrogant guy who already peeps at his hot neighbor and is always kind of just like, whenever he doesn't get to see your boobs. So already we don't like him.
You're in a Verhoeven movie when that's a character problem.
Yeah.
And I didn't see her boobs, man.
and then it just he just goes from a not likable guy to a much more unlikable guy. So it is
it's almost within a very short period of time being invisible that he sexually assaults Kim Dickens.
Yeah.
Like right away. It's like, Jesus Christ, that is a massive jump.
Yeah, it's his first night being invisible. And he's like, I guess I could undress this person without them knowing.
Oh, and this movie just keeps falling back on the invisible hand undressing women. It loves that effect.
Yeah, it does.
Because it's a Verhoeven movie.
But I will say it's a well-done effect. That's not
all the effects.
A justification.
The effects are the effects of the star of the movie. And it was nominated for the Oscar for visual effects, rightfully so.
Yeah, it's pretty darn amazing. But it does boil it down, just like you're saying, in the case of Griffin, it's not, he doesn't immediately jump to, derailing trains, killing hundreds of people. It is a progression. He does some prankful, mischievous type stuff, but it does keep building. In this case, this guy whose name, did you see what his character was originally named?
No,
in the original?
Not original, because he ends up being called, Sebastian Kane, which is such a supervillain name.
The original script
I didn't see
was
this.
called, I think it was called The Tale of Mr. Nobody or something, Mr. Nobody. And the scientist's name was Noah Body.
Oh, fuck, man. That is awful. That is... Man, I am glad they...
And so it wasn't called Hollow Man. And then when they decided to call it Hollow Man...
I did see this.
They had to pay a novelist who had written a novel called Hollow Man, which had nothing to do with invisibility, but they had to pay that guy some sort of stipend so they could use the title Hollow Man. Jesus Christ, what a waste of money.
I know, I'm just going just call it something else. Hollow Man isn't that great.
No reason to change it from The Tale of Mr. Nobody.
Yeah.
Noah Body. Holy shit. Anyway, so yeah, there are all kinds of problems along the way, and the things that do work, but you can't really celebrate it.
No, it's got like fatal wounds in it, right?
His
Like
only his only goals, his only thing here once he is invisible is not really power, even though she says, you know, it's like all the God talk about, I'll show you God. You're not God. Well, I'm pretty sure God wouldn't say, oh, I have all the power in the universe. I'm going to rape women and undress them. The guy is only thinking with his invisible dick.
Because the other thing is huge missed opportunity that all this is being developed for the military. There could have been something in there, right?
Sure.
There could have been
but
something.
instead, I mean, and not that it's impossible to show the military in a positive light, but here the military are almost innocent victims as well.
Well, did you see this guy?
Because the only guy that's connected to him gets killed.
This movie got the cooperation of the Pentagon.
Yeah.
Which is, I like Paul Verhoeven going like, I didn't really think they'd say yes.
Yeah. I should have asked for also a Fresca, because they probably would have gotten me a Fresca.
I do recommend any interview with Paul Verhoeven because the dude is just nuts.
Yeah, and I do appreciate that he is pretty much in any interview, and this is true of a lot of European directors, very blunt. He doesn't play the game. Yeah. He will sit there going like, this movie was a disaster. I shouldn't have made it. And what's more, it almost got me off of making films forever. Yeah. I went into a 2-year depression. And you're like, Jesus, man.
Here's a quote from me. He goes, I decided after Hollow Man, this is a movie, the first movie that I made that I thought I should not have made. It made money. That's the bit. He's right. This was pretty financially successful, which I just, boy, people should not have gone to this. But he goes, it made money and this and that. But it really is not me anymore. I think many other people could have done that. I don't think many other people could have made RoboCop that way. I always like, that's always my Verhoeven impression, just RoboCop. Or either Starship Troopers. But Hollow Man, I thought there might have been 20 directors in Hollywood who could have done that. I felt depressed with myself, and then explained that the job was offered in a period where many of his proposed projects had fallen through, and he basically accepted it because he's like, well, this is something that will actually get made.
Well, I do agree with what he's saying there, is that there's nothing here that needed to be Verhoeven.
There's stuff that I think actually suffers because it, like the sexual stuff, where it's like, yeah, that is something he'll lean harder on, and it makes the movie. I feel like another director, it wouldn't have been good, but it might have been less uncomfortable.
Played it up for tension instead of,
because I was thinking about, I'm thinking about this same script, still bad, but like with a De Palma or a Cronenberg, guys who can do the disturbing sexuality stuff without making it feel like, check it out, man.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, neither one of those guys would have gone anywhere near this fucking script because this is awful.
Nope.
Even De Palma at this point, who's fading, still would have been like,
even changing the name to what's his name? Sebastian
Cain.
Sebastian Cain.
I mean,
it is an improvement over Noah Body.
It is, but I was ready to make fun of that name, so just knowing that, I guess that's better, but it's still a dumb bad guy name.
It's a dumb bad guy.
Let's talk about the poster, which I actually think is much better than the movie. This poster, actually, I remember seeing this poster in a lobby. And, middle school music.
It was another inescapable when it came out. This thing was everywhere.
Well, and I remember seeing the
billboards and shit.
And I remember watching because I got all excited about it once again, because like Sci-Fi Channel did a behind the scenes thing where they talked extensively about the effects. And I was like, oh my God, this, as a little sci-fi, little middle school sci-fi nerd who already fucking worships Verhoeven because like RoboCop, Total Recall, and Starship Troopers are like 3 of my favorite movies. And still are. Those are all still absolute classics of science fiction.
Takes nothing away from what he did.
No, that's the thing. Is like, he can make as many Showgirls and Hollow Mans, and those 3 movies are absolute classics of science fiction.
Yeah, they won't be touched. I think they go beyond science fiction.
They really, they're actually, as we've talked about, they're also all 3 great satires.
Yep.
All of them. Even Total Recall, which you could, I think if you don't really watch it, you could be like, oh, what, like an Arnold thing? You're like, it's pretty clever, though.
No, it's doing a lot of the same things that RoboCop did, which is a lot of commentary on commercialism and the capitalist future. So yeah, all the great ads and all the, I mean, even the taxi driving robot. I mean,
Johnny Cab. Oh, I love Johnny Cab and Quato and all. I mean, but that's the other thing. This movie doesn't have the. It's lacking the satire, but it's also lacking a lot of the. It's got the perversity of the Verhoeven stuff, but it doesn't. Sure. It doesn't have the weirdness of the Verhoeven movies.
It doesn't have the weirdness, and again, it's the stupidest script that.
Well, he needed the big thing with those also is that's not only Verhoeven directed all those, but Ed Neumeyer wrote all of those. He really could have used that guy on this to do a polish. Instead, you've got two big Hollywood writers, Gary Scott Thompson, Andrew W. Marlowe, who, you know, Andrew W. Marlowe's coming off of Air Force One, you know. Like stuff like that where but they're studio guys. They write big studio action movies. They're not.
This has a few lines that are trying to be get off my plane. And
well, I feel like their script was probably maybe more generic but less upsetting. Just based on what I've seen. And Andrew W. Marlowe goes on to huge success doing Castle. He was the showrunner on Castle.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, and that is totally entertaining but really generic.
I was worried for him.
And Gary Scott Thompson, if you plug for other patron content, if you listen to Last to Be Curious, Gary Scott Thompson wrote the first Fast and Furious movie, has never been involved in any of the other movies, but gets paid as the creator of those characters. So
for him, again, the money just keeps coming in.
Money, baby.
But I will say, again, as advertised, they're giving us, you know, the on the poster.
Oh yeah, once again, the poster. I remember seeing this poster thing.
Close up of the latex mask face that he will have, but they've desaturated it, so it's white with and it's blurry, and it's got high contrast. So in a weird way, and I appreciate it, it is doing like an homage to the mummy wrapped face of classic Invisible Man.
I mean, this is interesting for not actually being a Universal Invisible Man movie. Obviously, there's so many nods to that film. But I remember, but this poster also promises this is going to be scary, and I don't find this movie scary at all. It's unsettling and gross. But I don't know that it's ever really... Once again, and I do recognize... I'm looking at it now.
Some of the kills towards the end have that jump scare thing going on.
Yeah, but I guess that's not really what I'm talking about. Yes, they do some jump scares, but like... Once again, I'm putting my own moratorium. I'm not going to keep talking about the Elizabeth Moss Invisible Man, but that movie is fucking terrifying, and it's so much simpler... And it costs probably a fraction of what this thing cost, but it's a perfect example of just smart filmmaking.
That's your last mention.
That's it. That's my last mention. But I'm just talking about, like, this is trying to sell that kind of movie, the think you're alone, think again.
Yeah, and he's right behind you.
But the movie doesn't really ever, like, it plays with that. It never. I mean, it's so dumb, and I don't care about the characters, which I think is part of what I have no investment. Therefore, there's no thrills. It's more just like, ugh, that's crazy. Yeah. You know, when he drowns William Devane in a pool, you're like, that's fucked up, man.
Yeah, dude.
Did you just watch Did you watch this on HBO Max? That's where I watched it.
Yes, I did.
And you just watched. You didn't watch you watched the theatrical cut, right?
Oh, I didn't know there was a choice.
You can also watch I also watched the theatrical cut, and I'm glad because the director's cut is just more graphic rape scenes.
I did read that the theatrical cut did cut more of the rape, and I'm like, oh, okay, good.
Yeah, apparently you really see Rona Mitra get raped for like a while in the Verhoeven cut, and test audiences were very upset about it, and so they cut. I think because what's in there is already upsetting, but he does cut away pretty fast, and it's mostly implied. Apparently, you really like saw her thrashing and screaming and
crying.
Like, and you're like, fucking hell, man. That has a
certain audience, I'm sure. I'm sure there's an audience going,
well, that audience,
more of that, please.
That audience is named Paul Verhoeven. If anyone who's I watched Flesh and Blood a little while back.
Oh, man.
Fuck, that movie's upsetting. That movie
is, but
It's good. I just don't want to watch it again.
It's one of the grimiest medieval films
it is definitively one of the most realistic depictions of that era. But
the whole thing of taking the plague-ridden corpses and dog corpses and putting them in the water.
Oh my God! All that stuff. It's just, but it's an ugly and what Verhoeven.
Yeah, it's an ugly film.
What Verhoeven talked about was he was like, oh, I see. I forgot to make it fun, and so that's what he brought to the RoboCops and stuff. He goes, I can make my commentary about violence and stuff like that, but I also have to still make a Hollywood movie because and it feels like he was heading back towards flesh and blood territory with some of his instincts here. And thank God somebody went, dude, come on. You can't.
Yeah.
Because his whole thing is always, I love whenever people bring up the violence of his movies, and he just goes, I fucking grew up in Nazi-occupied, whatever. Is it Holland he's from? I think he's Dutch, and he just goes like, every morning I saw bodies strewn in the streets. You don't know from violence.
I mean, and that's legit. His world made him, and we're seeing what art comes out of that. And I wouldn't wish to, and I'm going to say it. It's like, I firmly always stand against censorship. If Paul Verhoeven's unfiltered art is going to upset you, then don't. I would not say change your style.
No.
It's just that sometimes I am myself. I'm going to watch it once, wince, and then not watch it again. But we go like, okay.
But there are things where it's like Soldier of Orange is fucking great, right? And that is he is really confronting that stuff. But this is a studio summer tentpole horror movie, man. Like you've got to know there is a line of we are trying to appeal to a mass. Yeah,
he really forgot how to make rape just delightful.
Oh, have you seen Elle? Did you see Elle? Because that what a blast!
I did.
It's great. I'm joking. It's an incredibly dark and disturbing movie, but it is a foreign film and it's great. Black Book is great. I think
he's Elle the one with
Isabelle
Juliette Binoche?
No, I believe that's Isabelle Huppert.
Oh,
there's a movie. There's a movie called Els with Juliette Binoche.
Oh, well, you don't pronounce the S. I think that's what screwed me up.
Ah, that could be. No, Elle is yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Isabelle Huppert.
Well, I haven't seen it, but I do like Isabelle Huppert.
But that's a movie that's about a rape, and it actually is about rape. And it's very serious.
Because Verhoeven's like, you know what? I don't think Irreversible really broached the subject. So what I need to do is finally address that.
I have not seen Benedetta, his lesbian nun movie.
Well, lesbian nun movies, I let those build up, and then I do a whole binge. So I'm not to the point where.
But that's firmly he got a lot of praise with Elle, and then he's like, boom, crazy erotic religious film. That's where I'm always going.
I kind of got to tip my hat. Again, it's not
because that's the stuff though where I'm going like, oh yeah, because that's just Verhoeven doing Verhoeven.
Yeah.
And good on you, man. But yeah, it is sort of the Hollow Man thing where you go like, yeah, you're probably not the right guy to do this, and other people could have done it, and it probably would have been at least more watchable if they did.
I do think that studios have probably learned their lesson also, which is it doesn't matter what you give them. You're going to get Verhoeven, so maybe let's not go to him anymore.
This is the last Hollywood movie he made. He goes back to Europe, and everything he's made since has been a foreign independent film. And
indeed,
I think he's a lot happier. All right, so that's I just want to see. Do I have any other taglines for this? Because once again, that is promising like more of a psychological thriller with scares as opposed to this, which is kind of an action movie with some scares, or like a sci-fi. I don't know what this wants to be. Once again, it's
trying to be a lot of things.
Yeah, it's kind of all over the. Oh yeah, okay. Here are your other taglines. There's more to fear than you can see.
Holy shit!
Oh boy, there's a lot of them, and they're pretty dumb. We love a tagline here. Here's a winner: think invisible, be invisible.
That's stupid.
If you can't see him, if you can't find him, you can't stop him.
That's better.
What would you do if you knew you couldn't be seen?
Well, I'm pretty sure I'd rape my neighbor across the way.
Here's a longer version. Here's a longer
If only
version.
there was a movie for me.
Well, the other thing about that too is, and I'm not saying he's a creep, but like Kevin Bacon is lonely and horny. He's Kevin Bacon. You're telling me that guy couldn't just go out and at least get like a one night stand going or something?
Look, he clearly has not moved on.
Well,
he lost Elizabeth Shue.
Now, to be fair, agreed. If you lose Elizabeth Shue, that would...
You're going to be kicking yourself for a long
time.
Yeah,
you're not going to do much better than Elizabeth Shue.
You really will not.
Although I do not like her haircut in this
brilliant.
movie.
Oh, no, it's not a good one. I think Kim Dickens is even worse.
Agreed.
Because Kim Dickens is also a very attractive woman.
Oh, and she is...
early 2000s, like, bang fringe thing.
It's that thing where it's short and long. You're like, oh, you gotta pick a direction.
This is only the second movie I saw her in, because I saw her in Zero Effect, which I fucking loved, and I think that was the first thing I ever saw her in.
I remember seeing her in Truth or Consequences, New Mexico.
Okay, all right, yeah, you're right. I did see that too.
I like that movie, with her and Vincent Gallo and Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah, that's a flashback.
But I remember that, and then of course right after this she does Deadwood, where she's amazing. But there's more. This is a longer version of the one from the poster. You trust your eyes. You rely on your senses. You think you're alone. Think again.
I think they could have just done "You Think You're Alone, Think Again."
That's what they did settle on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you trust your. Fuck that nonsense.
And then the last one is just, open your eyes. That's
great.
That's a real that takes me back to what these kind of movies where it'd be like, open your eyes, July 5th. There were a lot of those movies, like Check Your Pulse, May 8th.
Yeah. Call a Taxi.
Yeah.
And it's for the movie Taxi.
Yeah. I saw Taxi.
Did someone need an ambulance? Ambulance. I'm always sorry, John. I know these are great movies.
Is I'm not going to argue Taxi.
Don't miss your plane.
But I did see Taxi in the theater and Fever Pitch, because I was all on board for Jimmy Fallon movie star. Loving him so much on SNL.
I saw Fever Pitch, and I actually liked
Fever Pitch. I think that was far and away the best use of him in a movie, like in a leading role, I should say, because I do think he's great and Almost Famous, and he's actually really funny in Drew Barrymore's movie Whip It.
Oh, I never saw it.
The roller derby movie.
The roller derby. Yeah,
he's the announcer at the roller derby track, so he basically, it was clear. It's like, Jimmy, come in and riff a bunch of scenes.
Jimmy, come in and give your, I don't care what galaxy you're from, that's gotta hurt.
It is sort of that thing where it's like, it's the same thing with like Bill Hader and Kristen Wiig in Adventureland, where it's like, we had them for 3 days and they improvised a bunch of scenes, and they just keep cutting them into the movie. But
perfect.
But yeah, I loved him so much on SNL, and I was just like, oh yes, this is gonna be, before realizing he's where he belongs, which is being himself on a talk show. That makes a lot more sense. All right, let's talk about Hollow Man.
Kick it off, G.
Well, boy, does this... I will say, my cat Columbo loved the opening minute of this movie when this rat is just running around. He was locked onto the screen this whole time, and then as soon as this invisible gorilla ate this rat, right to sleep, and he never looked at the movie again.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess that was just programming for cats.
He was just like, oh my god, this is the best movie we've ever watched. And then he was just like, oh, the rat's gone? All right.
There's a rat skittering around. It goes into a cage. An empty cage? No, because we hear growling. And then we see a CG version of the rat. And again, even now,
it's not bad. It's not bad at all.
A rat is grabbed by something invisible. You see it squeezed in the middle, and then you see it literally being bitten in half, and blood smearing the face of an invisible simian.
Yeah, I don't understand though, because gorillas don't eat living things.
Well, they eat living things, but they eat plants.
They eat plants, and I was, so I don't understand. Is the idea that this has driven him mad?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is part of it, is that the aggression has gotten to that state.
Yeah.
It's possible that our buddy Sebastian, he might have been driven to a state of eating human flesh.
Dude, that would have actually I would have been more on board for that. I would have been on board for the schlockier, gorier film that doesn't actually make me think about emotional repercussions and is just the end of the movie when he just starts murdering everybody. I'm like, oh, this would have been better if this was the whole movie.
Ish, but I mean,
it would have been more enjoyable. Like I said, it would have made me feel less gross.
The only problem with him being invisible murderer guy at the end is that the end becomes literally this desperate action movie thing, and that's not what I signed on for. It becomes people trapped with an insane killer. It becomes Scream. It becomes all those things. That's the only difference is he's invisible.
The Roger Ebert review does talk about, like, man, all this technology and all these talented people, kind of like we are, and he just goes, and then it just turns into a fucking slasher movie.
That's all it does.
He just goes, he's basically saying what we're saying. He just keeps going, why didn't they think more? Why didn't they think harder about this movie?
Why didn't they think harder is exactly
there's nothing clever. There's no... You have all these ideas, and you're going like, oh, imagine all the things you can do with an invisible man in a movie, especially with today's technology in a movie that's allowed to be R-rated. And yeah, he just kind of stalks people around the lab.
Yeah.
You could even do the stalker boyfriend thing with him being jealous about Elizabeth Shue being with Josh Brolin. All that could still be the thing that's driving his rage.
Well, the problems, and I will say, here's me thinking as studio or even producers, there may have been drafts that opened the world up more and allowed him to invisible man out in the world more.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that was really expensive. So when they were like, how about we turn Act 3 into a complete and total bottle?
Yeah.
And Act 3 is just all in the sets. And perfect, right? And we'll even have a Die Hard thing with an elevator shaft. I'm like, fuck this.
But
when it's doing that, I was so angry.
You could even write that in a more clever, scary, thrilling way. Yeah. But it's just there's some cool, there's some cool
I don't know
ideas.
What that chemical is, but getting literally burned to pretty much the bone, and then electrocuted. You're not going to be able to stand and then come after people and almost kill them and quip. Yeah. And like try to kiss your ex-girlfriend.
Especially when he comes back at the end in that elevator shaft. I was like, fuck off, movie.
Exactly.
Are you kidding me?
Fuck off.
He's dead. He's completely dead now.
He has been cooked. It doesn't matter if he's visible or not. Yeah. He was cooked and then he was literally electrocuted. And so there is no way that
they said it drives him mad and aggression. I don't remember anybody saying it gives him superpowers.
They should have said that because it would at least be some sort of explanation. I go,
or it's like whatever it's doing, it's also like severing his pain receptors or something.
Yeah, or it really does heighten his metabolism. Maybe he's got quick healing or something. Just give me a reason he's still able to run around.
Give me one line, man. They could have solved that in one line. It's just nobody feels.
Also, by the way, there has to be a better way to give an injection to an invisible gorilla than actually just sticking your arm in a fucking cage.
Oh,
that part with Josh Brolin, I'm like, dude, they would have some sort of extensor rod. They would have something putting his arm in the fucking cage.
They have Trent guns. They immediately go and grab Trent guns.
That's right. Oh, what the fuck
but
was that about?
But that's a last resort. Yeah, because it is like, okay, where's that invisible... Here comes Josh Brolin.
I'm putting on my... Oh, I can see you now. Calm down, Isabel. We're friends. I'm like, no, do that from a distance and with your fucking gun.
Yeah, this is insane.
Fucking movie.
This is nowhere near the ape friendship that The Rock has in Rampage. So I'll just say that.
I will take your word for it. Never seen it.
Rampage is fun. I'm not going to say it's like a good movie, but once again, it actually just is fun.
I played the game a lot.
Yeah, and actually, it's as true to that game as you can make a movie.
Giant gorilla, giant lizard.
Yeah, and then giant lizard and giant wolf.
Oh yes, that's right.
Yeah, you have those, and the gorilla's the good guy, of course. So he has to fight the other ones. It's cool. It's good. You know.
All right, I'll add it to the list, but it'll be very low down.
Yeah, like I said, it's if you just want kind of just a fun CGI smash 'em up, it's pretty good. Right. So yes, Josh Brolin gets bit by this gorilla, and here comes, Kevin Bacon is fucking cool, man, and he comes in his slick leather jacket.
Well, okay, first you jumped over the big opening part.
I forgot. Yes,
So
yes, because we see the gorilla eat the rat. Yeah.
Then we see basically Kevin Bacon sciencing, staring at his neighbor, going, "Ooh, I almost saw her boobs. I didn't. Oh." But I love sciencing.
Immediately, I hate this guy.
Sciencing in this way is he's creating chemical bonds.
Yeah.
And what he's doing is literally, I like how these movies simplify everything. It's just him like clicking on like, what if I turn this one into hydrogen? What if I turn this into a zinc thing or whatever? And he's just clicking little balls, and then it goes unstable. He's like, oh.
And I will say,
like someone trying to win a video game.
It is. It's very video gamey, and they do that later too. Josh Brolin also does it later.
Yep.
And
he sciences too.
And when it doesn't work, I like Kevin Bacon's just like, you fucking idiot. Those things, the little balls didn't match up in the right way. I thought you were smart, asshole.
And then he figures it out, which is good.
Well, but the other thing is, I thought this character was supposed to be intelligent. I distinctly heard Jay Leno on in the background.
So you hear this thing about
this whole scene as this doing, you can just hear him going, "Yeah, Kevin, you hear about this news story?"
Yeah, this was
and I'm like, what? You never see the TV, you only hear it, and I'm going, oh, fuck, I know that voice.
Yeah, and it is something about animals, because we did cut from the lab with the animals. He's like, I heard about this thing it's over at the zoo with the thing with the thing.
And then Kevin Eubanks going, that's hilarious, Jay.
Jay, you have never been funnier than what you just said.
Man, that guy earned his paycheck laughing at all those horrible jokes.
Oof, what a job. Yeah. So many years of doing that, too.
I'm dying.
Oh, Jay, you kill me. You kill me.
And you know, he's just going, I'm dying inside.
I am
broken. Did my hatred of Leno come out hard enough? Yeah. Did my hatred of Leno come out hard enough? That guy, I just found.
I'm sorry, buddy. I will still state, as I always do, that there was a time that man was brilliantly funny.
That may be, but I grew up with him on the host of the Tonight Show, and I always found him bland, boring, and really bad at that job.
Yeah.
But I was a Letterman kid, and then eventually a Conan kid. So
Letterman is a god, but
he was actually funny.
Jay was.
But it's not like if Jay had put out some stand-up specials or something, maybe, but it's not like he was really doing that.
Yeah, but John, you hear about this? Thing with?
Look at this. There's a misprint here in this headline. Pretty funny, huh? Yeah. All right. Hey, they don't. You don't know who the first president was? You fucking dummy. Boy, that jaywalking say. All right, I'm off. All right, here we go. So he does, and then he immediately, because is this movie set in the future? Because he vid calls Elizabeth Shue in the middle of the night.
No, this is breaking edge, bleeding edge technology at this point.
Well, it is, because this is a better clarity than we have now. You and I are talking over a video call, and it is crystal clear.
Well, they are using the cams of the day as props, and then they are just dropping in video that they've shot.
Hate that. I always hate that in movies, still to this day, like when somebody's watching the local news, but it looks like a movie. I'm like, no, just, come on.
You mean like in Dracula 2000?
That's the kind of thing I'm talking about, where it's like, why is the news in widescreen, anamorphic, like, beautiful, well lit? It should be shot on video and blasted with light.
And why haven't any cops shown up to that crashed plane?
Still trying to figure that out. Those news reporters got there hours before first responders.
Apparently so.
Yeah, that one news crew. He's like, I've did it. I've done it. This is amazing. And she's like, wow, you're a genius. And then he's like, haha, bet you regret leaving me.
Yeah, so he cracks whatever he was missing, and calls his ex, who's in bed with a guy.
Some guy, we don't know who yet.
Yeah, we don't know who yet. And he's like going, who's that over there? She goes, none of your business, because we're not dating anymore. He's like, all right, just wanted to tell you I'm a genius, and I've created something that's going to change humanity. And she's excited because she's also his science partner. And she's like, yeah. Then they hang up.
It's one of those real screenwritery lines where he's like, who is that back there? And she goes, it's none of your business, and you chose to make it none of your business, or something like that.
Yeah, because people talk like that in real life.
Yeah, it's just I mean, literally, I'm writing that down, going, okay, there's some expositional dialogue. They used to date, yeah, and somebody went, that's good, that's one line, and now we can move on.
Now we can move on.
So yes, he's, and so this is where oh my God, when he rolls in this horrible song he is listening to.
Oh.
And singing along with whatever, poor Kevin Bacon having to pretend to be into whatever this piece of shit 2000s rock song is, as he speeds into the lab in his cool leather duster.
He's the bomb.
Why
wouldn't you want to be him?
That's the thing, is like, I already hate this guy. He hasn't even turned invisible, and I can't stand this guy. And I love Kevin Bacon. I am predisposed to like Kevin Bacon in a movie.
Yes.
That's also, I don't know that I would say Kevin Bacon's a bad choice for this, because it's not that anyone else would have been good, I don't think.
Well,
it's a bad script. But he's kind of a weird choice.
There's some kind of thing in there where they basically are saying, here's the in the trivia, the reason he was chosen over other actors.
What did you see the other two actors here that were considered?
Who was it?
Guy Pearce and Edward Norton.
Yes, that's it. Edward Norton, weird. Especially considering what they said, but they basically went with Kevin Bacon because he could be both charming and also dangerous and unnerving. And I'm okay,
which is true.
Why don't you lean on the charm at the beginning? Why don't you actually have him be, or at least outwardly, totally okay with things, and not be a creeper on his neighbor?
Have it be that
maybe he bumps into her in the hallway or something more innocent, and clearly he has a crush on her.
Yeah,
because then it escalates to him trying to see her get naked.
It's very it's very rote, but still, it would have been better if it had been like, this guy's always working. Because Elizabeth Shue has a thing where it's like, you stayed up all night doing this, and like, that's why things fell apart with Elizabeth Shue, is he can't break away from work. Or yes, there's some flirtation with Rona Mitra, but once again, he's distracted by the work. And then later,
preach, John Campbell, preach.
Once again, this is a thing we do both on here and over on Action Shelf. I'm not sitting here going, I'm just a genius screenwriter. I'm pitching rote shit that they could have done that at least would make the movie more solid.
Absolutely. It doesn't, I mean, sure, does everything need to be polished? Because even if they called us now and said tinker with it, probably it'd end up being polished. But what we're getting at, very baseline smart changes to make something tied together better, to have an organic progression of this character. And that's not what they're giving us at all.
No, like I said, I already hate this guy when he rolls in here in his cool car, in his cool coat.
Of course, he's like incredibly well paid. He's a genius scientist with government grants. Come on.
And he's got that early 2000s leading man, longish, shortish hair.
Yeah.
And it's just this, he's just fucking cool. And Kevin Bacon is cool. But this is another movie where it's not the James Woods thing where he's posing as much as the movie is posing him as cool. Because Kevin Bacon is cool, that's why them going like, movie, calm down. I get
They didn't have him dance. That I was like, wow, I really appreciate your restraint.
Although I think
having him dance,
I think a huge mistake to make any movie with Kevin Bacon where he doesn't dance. But that's just my opinion.
I know.
You know, I do love Footloose, man. It's great.
Footloose, was integral to my early teens.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's one of those movies that's iconic and classic for a reason. Like
it's not Citizen Kane. It's just a delightful.
That's the thing. It's not trying to be, and it's just charming and fun. I don't know. It's great.
And I will say this: in Footloose, I don't know how long it's been since you've seen it.
A little while, but yeah.
I will just say, in Footloose, Kevin Bacon is visible for the entire film.
That was that's the thing what is also one of those, of course, hilarious things where you're like, let's hire the most handsome guy we can find and then make him invisible the whole movie. And I do like the note about in the trivia where it's like Kevin Bacon's like, great, I'll work 5 days. They're like, oh no, you've got to be in a fucking green stocking the whole time, wearing translucent contacts.
He barely goes wholly in. He went full in. He showed up. He did the work.
He did the work for sure. But I mean, the thing about like, because of everything, it sounds awful. Not only in the skin tight green suit, but then to take out the eyes, they had to put green contact lenses on him and stuff. Oh God.
I will say it pays off because he looks great. I mean, the effects are great.
The effects are great. That's an across the board statement in this. The effects are the best part of this movie, and we're gonna see that here when they bring the because you get him being a cocky bastard here when the gorilla's loose, and he goes, I bet you $20, Josh Brolin, I can get this thing before you.
This is bad, and I knew it was bad because we're only about 8 minutes into the movie. Maybe not even that much.
Yeah.
But the thing is that it's already stupid.
Yeah.
Josh Brolin trying to give a treatment. It's not a tranquilizer. It's another one of their treatments to the gorilla.
Yeah.
And then by sticking his arm in the cage, and then the gorilla like doesn't rip it off, but he gets
bites
messed
him,
up.
right, or something, right? Because
he bites him or something, blood, and then the gorillas escape. It's an invisible gorilla.
Yeah,
it's not an invisible guinea pig. It's an invisible gorilla loose in the halls of this top secret lab, and then it becomes two bros betting each other who can trank the invisible gorilla first. And it's also their excuse to go, this is how you track the invisible people. It's with these thermal goggles.
What I love, because it's a sci-fi movie, it has to be in like a metal box on a wall where it slides down out the bottom and the guns are in. You know. Yeah, I also love, speaking of the sounds, every time you flip the thermal vision down, it has to go pew.
Yep.
Pew.
Yeah. Wait, isn't that what happens?
I've talked about this before. It's like any night vision in a movie always has to go pew.
Yeah,
it has to.
That it makes no noise.
Of course not. That would not be great in a tactical setting if you flip down night vision and it makes a high pitch.
When you type on a computer, you might have an old keyboard that'll go clackety clack.
Well, I'm also just not. Beep, boop, beep, boop, 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 I'm always obsessed with computer noises, like the loading when you have the loading bar noise, just going do 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 do.
Yep.
You know, you're like. They just can't.
Because they make sounds.
They can't resist it. They're like, people aren't going to know what's going on.
It's just expected because we're not going to have a sound there?
The big one that gets me now is smartphones in movies that still go boop when somebody hits end call.
Yeah.
Boop. No, it doesn't make any noise. Oh. You guys. Come on.
Just smarten up, Hollywood.
Come on Hollywood. Come on.
Come on.
Yeah. So yeah, they bake it, and this is setting up. I'm going, they talk about Josh Brolin's terrible at aiming the trank gun. I'm going, well, when he fights the Hollow Man at the end of the movie, he'll miss because.
Yeah. Oh, this was great screenwriting.
Although
set everything up.
As you're talking about, how do you miss a full-size gorilla? He's got the thermal vision. He can see where it is. How do you not hit it somewhere?
I don't know.
The other thing, though, that they don't set up is, or that they don't pay off, that they set up is they go, well, I'm not the one practicing my marksmanship at lunch every day. So I thought there'd be some scene where Kevin Bacon would have great aim on something, and he never does.
Well, he does hit the mark whenever he shoots, though.
When does he shoot anyone, though?
Well, the gorilla.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's here. And so I thought that was setting up something later.
Yeah, I guess he really just impales a lot of people.
He impales a lot of people, and he shoots Kim Dickens with a trank dart, but it's right point blank. It's not.
Yeah, that's true.
I thought he was going to, if he had like sniped William Devane or something, that would have
Oh, been... invisible sniper, come on!
Well, I also thought, like, once again, they're making this for the military, so a more interesting route to have gone, and this is now just, the show becomes, you and I pitch better versions of the movie, which will, but, stop. As Mike Gergoni always says,
I would start over it.
Whenever, yeah, but I'm always going, okay, I'm given this, and the parameters of it has to basically follow this, right?
Sure.
Is my sort of thought exercise is, what if it is a thing where the government's like, oh wait, we could use this guy, and Elizabeth Shue is going, no, I'm telling you, he's dangerous. This is going to go bad for you, and then that's more tension, and like it's like I think he's going crazy, and they're like, but dude, he could get anywhere and kill anybody. This is great.
Yeah.
There's a movie.
And what if they start with someone that's like a good-hearted soldier becomes the guy and not the scientist?
And Elizabeth Shue is
the scientist who sees where this can go wrong.
That is sort of the
and get a Steve Rogers type who gets even more and more corrupted. And they're like going, he becomes a monster by the end.
He's a Steve Rogers who becomes
has put him in the field.
I was gonna say he's a Steve Rogers who becomes a John Walker.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
I'd watch that. I'd watch a new Invisible Agent.
There you go. Yeah, actually, a bit kind of, yeah. So he's like, and once again, just fucking asshole. He's oh, and Kim Dickens is the zoologist or whatever there.
Yeah, I guess she's the whatever, the veterinary genius who cares for all the test animals. And I will say this, also stupid writing. If she is in a field, and I'm not saying it's right, but if she's in a field that involves testing on animals, she can't be the soft-hearted. She just can't, because every field that does live testing on animals, eventually they will want to vivisect to see the effects that a chemical or whatever will have on them. And she is so sensitive to everything.
And that's one thing later when he talks about that. But she's pissed that they even just shot it with a tranq dart.
Yep, I know. That's the whole thing. She's sensitive to everything.
She's irate about this. It's one thing if she's like, what, you're going to kill it? At least, okay, I'm like, okay, that'd be something. But the fact that she's like, you would tranq dart this gorilla that was running loose? What is wrong with you?
Yeah. So you're just like, why is she here? She's going to disagree with everything they do that in any way affects animals. She needs to just be a veterinarian.
Yeah, and so they go, they strap the gorilla down, and once again, this looks cool when they inject the serum into the gorilla, and you start seeing it make every vein visible as it's run. Very cool, very cool.
Very cool. They map the entire beast, so essentially, as the gorilla's becoming visible again, it's doing it in phases where veins to muscle groups, to skeletal regions, to internal organs, and you're seeing it go through all that. And then as it's dying, like its heart's about to explode, and they're like, we've got to calm it down. Oh my God, it's going to blow up. Then they start doing the defibrillator. Boy, this movie should be an ad for defibrillators. But they do that, and whenever they defibrillate, and it's true when they do it on him later too, you see sort of like because the skin is invisible, but you see sort of like what the electricity is doing to the surface of the skin.
Yeah.
So you get kind of like sort of texture of the outside for briefly. I mean, it's all really well done.
The guys who did the effects on this were doing incredible work.
Only part this doesn't work at all is whenever they're trying to interact, because there's a part like when it's pretty much fully back, and one of them, like probably Kim Dickens, is putting just her hand on its chest. And then it's clear there's nothing there, not even like a stand-in physical thing. So it's clearly like Han Solo talking to Jabba the Hutt kind of thing, where it's like the hand is floating kind of, and it doesn't quite touch a real thing.
Yeah, I'm having traumatic flashbacks as you bring up that.
That was my hope. I wanted to.
Well, did you see this thing about an anatomically correct, totally working computer model was created of Kevin Bacon's entire body down to the last capillary, and the 3D model was so good it was donated to scientific research after the movie. That's crazy.
And I love that, the fact that something they're doing as an effect for a movie could actually have a beneficial effect for science.
If only everyone else had that level of detail in what they were doing on this movie. The effects.
But again, I feel terrible for Kevin Bacon, because that means that they probably did send him through all kinds of screenings. They probably did the stuff with the beryllium in his veins so they could trace all of his veins. I bet he was like going, Jesus Christ, for this movie? I'm having all this done for this movie?
Do you think do you think he was just like, I just wanted to be in a fucking Invisible Man movie? I thought this would be like a couple weeks work. Are you kidding me?
He's like, what? I thought there'd be gauze. Don't I get to unwrap some gauze? Jesus.
Yeah, because he did talk about, there's a quote from him where he just goes like, I just thought it'd be cool to play the Invisible Man. I don't know. That was his interest, was just like, thought that's kind of cool. That'd be fun. Like,
you're working on your. I can tell you're actually trying to do your Kevin Bacon.
Well, he does have a very specific. He has a cool voice.
It's actually pretty deep. Yeah,
and it is sort of cool. Like, and I don't.
He's got a cool voice.
I don't know. I can't say I've heard much of the Bacon Brothers music, but.
I'm okay.
The band, they were here once in Portland. I remember it was like down at the blues festival that we have here every year, and I was like,
I support him because I've always liked him.
I just like the guy.
Doesn't mean I'm going to be buying his albums.
No,
just like I haven't bought Jeremy Renner's album or
very similar. It's
doesn't mean I don't love him. Just I don't care.
I love Keanu, but I have no Dog Star albums. I do.
Well, that's the big.
I will actually say though, Keanu, I respect that he just plays the bass. He isn't trying to be a rock star. He's just in a band.
Yeah,
and he
likes
fun.
playing music.
Yeah, it doesn't feel as much the Vanity Project as Bacon.
Yes.
Speaking of Vanity Projects, there is a Kevin Bacon line here. In case you weren't once again, this is all very Verhoeven and very on the nose. Is the "You're not God, I am."
Yeah,
because you've got Joey Slotnick is the character actor.
Well, if you're going to introduce that stupid idea into, and what mad scientist movie is not going to have some reference to? I'm playing God.
Some reference is right, except for this movie has 40 separate lines of dialogue where he says something similar.
You could have gotten away with just this one because it's for a clever reason, and the idea is there's. The computer nerds are not on the operating floor. They're in an elevated viewing.
This is Greg Grunberg and Joey. Is he on the floor?
Greg
Who's
Grunberg
the other?
Is in the
is it the other woman who's the?
Yeah, it's the other woman. Who, man, her death was just gross. Plus the fact that she was the only person of color.
Yeah,
and is she the first one killed? Yes.
In the lab. Yeah.
In the lab.
Yeah. So, and she has a nothing part, and sadly, really had almost no career.
I don't like that because she's good. But the whole thing here is that basically they are the computer nerds who watch all the computer stuff.
And by the way, I mentioned character actor Joey Slotnick, who plays a nerd. I do too, but he plays a nerd in everything. And you know what movie he was most recently in?
No.
Plane.
Does he play a nerd in it?
He plays the ugly American on the plane going, I want answers, Gerard Butler. What's going on here? Only to then, of course, go, thank you for saving me, Gerard Butler.
He's also very good at snarky characters, so they have, but then again, everyone in this movie is pitched as being a snarky character.
Once again, that's the problem, is they all have the same personality, and also, their skill sets are so nebulous, you're like, computer guy, but also the other woman is a computer person. And Greg Grunberg is a what?
I think he may be sort of like their general purpose nurse down there because he's supplying like the whatever the tools are. Give us that 10 cc's of whatever.
But what does Elizabeth Shue do versus Kevin Bacon versus Josh Brolin? Kim Dickens has the clearest field.
True.
And I think Slotnick does too, actually, in that he does most of the actual like hands-on computer like hacking stuff because it's a movie from 2000, so there is a scene where he has to hack into the security system, of course.
Of course, yeah. But they're all brilliant. So Slotnick does the thing of doing the studio mic and saying, "This is God. I'm watching you." Blah blah blah, and then that is the line where
you're not God, I am.
Man, and when I heard that, I was like, I've never thought of it that way before. That's awesome.
While I agree this is the most clever use, I still went, ugh. Come on.
No, of course, because but we did know where that was coming.
It is, and
once again, he will mention that he is God.
Oh, and like I said, get ready. He says it so many times, though.
It wraps up the movie at the end. Mm-hmm. It's like, you're not God, I am, because I have a rigged up flamethrower.
That was kind of cool in concept.
That was cool.
Once again,
I'm glad it was her doing it.
But it's also a very Alien ripoff, right?
Sure, of course.
But that's cool. I like seeing Elizabeth Shue, and I would like to have seen her in more action stuff.
I'd like to see more Elizabeth Shue. Period.
Do you think Verhoeven was trying to get more nudity out of her?
Oh, I'm willing to bet there were conversations.
Yeah.
I bet he was sitting there going like, I really want you to show how involved you and Josh Brolin are. I kept thinking when I was watching that scene where, again, Verhoeven didn't write it himself, but I have a feeling that his shadow loomed large, because when we do see Josh Brolin and Elizabeth Shue's character in bed, and it's all about, man, I just can't help thinking. She's like going, who should be on top? It becomes this guy. And she's like, I'm just trying to distract you. I'm trying to fuck you here. And he's like going, I just am full of thoughts. But while she's doing it, fully in a bra, she shows no nudity in this movie.
No.
So she probably just said, I'm not going to do it. Sorry, buddy. But instead, I bet he's like, okay, if you're not going to show anything, you have to constantly be kissing Josh Brolin's chest and taking little nibbles and biting his, because I doubt that Elizabeth Shue thought to herself, how can I get this across in the scene that we're very intimate?
And
I don't think she was thinking, I'm going to chew on him. No. And I'm sure Verhoeven was like going, make it more sexy.
And that's anytime I see that in a movie, and I don't know if this makes me a prude or not, but I don't think it is. I just keep going, oh God, that must have been uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Like it always.
In this case, it really did jump me there. Simply because
I think that's the thing. Is it because it doesn't feel like it's actually coming out of heat between two characters as much as, well, like you're talking about. It does feel like she was told to do that, and nobody's like into it. So I'm just going like, I'm just thinking about what it was like on set. I'm not in the moment, even though two very good actors.
I think it was literally like, I won't show my tits, but I will do that.
Yeah,
it feels like this compromise.
But you also get him unbuttoning her thing, and you do get the slide down to the side of panties later, which I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, you do.
But then also maybe that didn't happen, because maybe that scene's a dream. That scene's a mess.
Oh right, she has a sexy fantasy dream.
Yeah, which is weird.
That turns scary.
But what's weird is he does literally do that to two other characters. So. That scene is weird.
He probably had done that to her in the past. They had been together.
I'm just saying, it's just a weird, unnecessary scene that's just Verhoeven going, yeah.
Well, okay. Here is faint praise, and it's not really praise. Is that one of the interesting ideas is that she is over him to some degree, but the only shading she gets to play in this movie is that she's still drawn to him. Even though you have Josh Brolin, who looks like, a fucking superhero already, and he hasn't played one yet.
Yeah,
but he's the insecure one here, and he's like going, "Do you still want to be with him? And she goes, "No. What we had was interesting great, but at the same time,
she has some
he
line
wasn't
about,
with me."
That's the thing. She has some line about like the idea of being with him is more exciting than actually.
Yes, but when they have their little scenes together, where Kevin Bacon is clearly putting the moves on his ex, she doesn't really put up too hard of a front, which I thought was interesting. It shows there's this lingering thing.
And a better movie, better written and directed movie could have explored that in an actually interesting human manner.
Yeah, but no, we didn't have it.
Yeah. God damn. Yeah, Josh Brolin, 55, by the way, looking at that, and he's might be a
year older than I am.
He might be in better shape now, actually.
Oh, yeah. When the Marvel stuff came around, of course, he bulked up.
I mean, yeah, just looking at him at the last Disney Expo where he's in fucking Cable shape. And you're like, Jesus Christ, man. Yeah. And he's Gurney Halleck, or was it Gurney Halleck? Jesus, I flipped the Gurney Halleck in Dune as well, where he kicks ass. So.
Oh right, yeah. I don't remember the character names in Dune. I always, because I never read those books. So other than Paul, I like that Harley character's name is just Paul.
There's something funny about all the crazy names in it, and then it's the same thing with like Game of Thrones, where it's like. Daenerys and Tyrion and Ned.
Yeah, Ned.
Ned and his sons, Jon and Robb.
Yeah.
But their sister, Sansa.
Arya.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. I love that stuff. Dune is a weird thing where, and this will, I have consumed pretty much every piece of media related to it, but never read the novel.
I started it.
Yeah, same here. But like, I've read the graphic novel adaptation. I've played the games. I've watched all the movies and miniseries. I love it. I have trouble with it's a bunch of gleep glop in the book.
Also, man, this is not the place to bring it up, but you are famously illiterate. So, I mean, picture books are about all you can do.
Well, there's a reason I love the comics. I just don't tell anyone. I just actually can't read what the words say.
It's time for a literacy intervention with you.
I love the It's Always Sunny joke where they talk about Charlie being illiterate. I'm not illiterate. I just can't read or write.
I haven't watched that show in years. I'm always amazed it's still on. I mean, I love those people.
Was it season 15 now? I think it is.
It's season 28.
I think it's. But as they talk about, they only do 10 a season, so it keeps them from like, it's actually like fun as opposed to just like, Jesus.
Yeah, that gives Rob McElhenney time to go off and buy a football club with Ryan Reynolds.
And Charlie Day has a movie coming out. It will have already been out by the time people listen to it, that he wrote and directed as well, which I'm excited.
Good for Charlie Day, who I've always liked.
Love that guy. And you're like, oh, look, it's all of his friends. There's Glenn Howerton, there's Jason Bateman, there's Jason Sudeikis.
Perfect.
All right. So yeah, where are we here? Everyone is psyched. Everyone is psyched because they brought the gorilla back. They're like, you did it, Kevin Bacon. Fuck yeah.
What I kind of love about this concept is the idea that when the movie starts, they had already cracked invisibility.
Yeah, it was.
Which they call something like phasing.
Yeah.
They never explain how that shit works anyway. That's bullshit nonsense. But the thing is that they had not cracked reintegration where they could bring someone back.
Right.
And the whole thing was, well, he figured out a way for the cells to remain stable, bringing them back to visibility, though it's still going to hurt like a bitch. And but they've cracked it, and they're going to go tell their government handlers. They go tell their government handlers, only they don't, because Kevin Bacon is so wicked about this because his group, which is Josh Brolin and Elizabeth Shue, they're thinking he's going to tell the government, hey man, figured it out. Yeah. Instead he goes, we're really close.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, you better do something soon. You're going to lose your funding. When they walk out, you got Kevin Bacon having to tell Elizabeth Shue, and then it's like, no, this is all part of my plan.
Well, because he's afraid they're going to take the thing away from him, right? Or kick him off the project or something.
Yeah, and plus he also says, this is the part where it gets boring for me. It's like, once I've cracked the code, I don't really want to do all the fucking lab work and all that nonsense.
You're a fucking awful scientist, Kevin Bacon, and this is so stupid.
And basically it's another setup where they go, do you see how greedy he is, how self-centered he is? And he keeps going, hey, this is my thing. I want to be the trailblazer scientist that is known as a hero.
Yeah.
And I don't have time for all that bullshit nonsense.
There must be guys like this in science, obviously, but every time it's so common in movies, and I'm just going, if most scientists were like this, nothing would get done.
Yeah,
I feel like most actual scientists I've either seen interviewed or have met in person are people who want to be in the lab doing all this stuff.
Yeah, forever and ever.
It's so insane to me. These guys who are like, I don't believe this guy has scientific know-how, because he seems like a guy who wouldn't have gone to class.
Whoa, hold on, man. You didn't see him clicking those little balls on the screen?
The thing is, I never get you don't get the Tony Stark is the arrogant scientist, but you always get the sense he loves the science shit.
Yeah, that is one of the best things about the way they envision that character. He can still be quippy. Mm-hmm. He can still drink too much and hang out with like Playboy models and stuff, but there's no doubt that he has to be pulled out of the lab. He's down there all the time. They're like, you might want to shower sometime soon. He's like, what? Sorry, doing a thing.
Yeah, I mean, look, those movies are amazing. So, and I will defend Iron Man 2. I'm an Iron Man 2 defender. I don't think it's perfect, but I think people unfairly rag on it.
Here's my secret.
Yeah.
I like all three.
Oh, agreed. I like
all three.
One of my hot takes, I guess, if you will, and I mean this, it just a little bit. I like 3 the best. That's my opinion. That's my opinion, and I love the first one, obviously, but I do love Iron Man 3.
I like them all, and my hotter take, I like all the Thors.
I would say
a certain degree.
Yeah, I agree with that to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also like that Incredible Hulk movie.
Yeah, me too. Oh, we should be friends.
Yeah, that's what that's basically, that was kind of a reenactment of how we did become friends.
Yeah. Which is why I now call you Nighthawk and you call me Dragon.
Yeah. Did we just become best friends? Oh, the best.
It is one of the funniest movies.
It's always a bad sign for the movie we watched when you and I spend a lot of time talking about other movies.
Yeah, we're not even to him being invisible yet.
Well, no, but the thing I was going to say about the only thing we see him do in this movie that is meant to show the smarts is him tip-tapping on those keys at the beginning.
Yep.
That's it. He never does any science. Because from here he goes, all right, we're moving on to human trials. And they're like, because William Devane is the like government scientist guy who backed this project. Like he's not.
Well, apparently he was a mentor of Sebastian's, and therefore he's like, you're brilliant, but you've been taking too much time.
Right, and he's the guy who's got to answer to the government, and
right.
So because all the generals are like, well, this is your guy, William Devane. And once again, don't get too excited about William Devane being in this movie. He's in one more scene where he dies. So
yeah, don't.
Jesus Christ! I told you I was just watching Marathon Man, and he's so fucking good in that. And here, nothing.
I'm not surprised that William Devane was good in something.
Yeah, Rolling Thunder. I'm a big Rolling Thunder guy.
Yeah, I'm not a big Rolling Thunder guy, but I like it.
I'm not to the Tarantino level of calling it my favorite movie of all time, but which I'm like, that's a crazy. I think it's really fun. It's a good vigilante film, but
I still think a lot of the things he says when he goes to those absolutes is for shock value.
It's gotta be, right?
He doesn't love it, but I think he does a lot that's like, they're not going to believe it when I say this movie. I think
he likes having the hot takes where it's like, let me tell you, man. Let me tell you why the thing you love sucks and why this thing other people don't like is actually brilliant.
Yep.
When he's going, Carpenter never did better than Dark Star, man. You're like, no, are you crazy? Come on.
Shut up, Quentin.
Yeah.
Go make movie number 10 and wrap it up. Okay,
I have become. He was always one of my heroes, but and he still is as a filmmaker. But I am sort of going like, yeah, maybe watch the movies unless I want to hear him talk about it. The books have really soured me on him, having read both of his books now.
I can't binge his podcast. I drop in from time to time and listen to a stray episode.
That's the same thing because it's a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of times you're just like, oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of eye rolling, but I still respect him, and he makes better movies than I do. So I'll shut up.
No, I mean, once again, the genius is there, but I do feel like I would have dinner with him and a half hour in be like, oh my god, this guy.
Like, oh, didn't I tell you? Oh no, my grandma's in town. Yeah, no, we promised her some. I gotta go.
I feel like I'd be closer friends with his friend Edgar Wright. I feel like that guy and I would have more in common.
Just don't bring up Ant-Man.
What happened? I'm sure that he is like, I'm sure he's so tired of people going, what happened there, man?
I'm sure he is, even though it's like, oh, I get it. You just want to know the backstory, the stuff that I can't publicly talk about. Well, I can't.
It's probably not. It's probably also one of those things where it's nowhere near as juicy as people want it to be, where it's like, I want to do this. And they went, we'd rather do this. And he was like, yeah, I don't want to, so I'm just not going to do it.
The end.
Yeah. So yeah, he's lying to the Pentagon, and he goes, we're going to move to human tests. And they're like, well, what, fucking William Devane didn't say we could do that. He goes, oh, who cares? We're doing it.
And they're like, well, who are you going to get? It's going to be me. And then they also say, you're insane. No. And he's like, hey, look. And then Elizabeth Shue backs him up, actually. He's like, well, Jonas Salk did take the polio vaccine himself. And she lists other people.
Only,
it's like, this person...
only Josh Brolin's the only person making sense in this movie, going like, you crazy bastard.
Because I do think Elizabeth Shue's character is supposed to be somewhat still in thrall to Sebastian.
I just wish that was more developed. Like anything in this movie, there's nothing bad with any of these instincts. It's just they're not explored in any kind of depth.
Absolutely,
it's just the sketches of characters. So they move into human tests, And boy, oh boy, one thing we do know about Kevin Bacon does not mind getting his clothes off in a movie.
He said, "Do you want front or back?" And Verhoeven said, "Dealer's choice."
And we get this weird moment where he walks in naked and does this little hop up onto the table.
Yeah.
And apparently you could slow it down and really see what's going on there.
I saw it plenty without it needing to be slowed down.
Well, you get a lot of CG.
It's not
when you get the thermal stuff, you really get a lot of CG penis.
Yeah, this is not Wild Things level, but it is.
And what a necessary scene that was.
You mean necessary, right?
Yeah, sorry, necessary. Yes,
capital N necessary.
Necessary. I need to see Kevin Bacon get out of the shower.
It's not just Footloose that he cuts. I don't know what that means.
I have no idea.
I'm just gonna keep making Footloose jokes.
If I had the physique of a Kevin Bacon, I don't know that I would, but I might be okay being naked on film.
Dude, I don't know. Here's the thing, because did you see that? Because we're not wanting to talk about the movie, but did you see that recent TikTok or video he and Kira Sedgwick made?
Yeah.
For, it's like, stop banning drag shows. There's more important things in the world.
Oh, actually, I saw that video because right-wing assholes were pissed about it.
Of course they were.
And I'm like, nope.
You're seeing these people who are both late 50s, probably early 60s. He's in great shape.
Yeah.
And she's in great shape.
Well,
and I'm sitting there, and Kira Sedgwick, I always thought I like her a lot as an actor, but I never found her very attractive. That's just me, and no offense.
I will say she's somebody who has a very specific look. I do think she's very attractive, but she isn't in the conventional model look.
And therefore I always respected, everyone falls in love with whoever they fall in love with, that they've been together so long, they're clearly meant for each other. That's awesome. But to see them just, dancing around and looking great for their age, and I'm just sitting there going, God bless those two people.
That's the thing.
And making a good point while being cute.
Well, that's the thing about them that I like is their Hollywood couples have been together, but there's so many examples where you're just like, boy, you guys just really like each other. Really seem to just be jazzed about being with
going,
each other.
Oh my God, it's Paul and Joanne again. I can call them that because
it is. And their daughter's a good actor.
It turns out their daughter's a good actor.
Yeah, who knew? Anyway, this movie's not good. Not Kevin Bacon's
but
fault.
He's about to turn invisible, so he hops up naked on the thing.
Oh, and of course he's got to have a line where he's like, please, ladies, come on.
Well,
my dick is out.
It's actually shot fairly amusing because Elizabeth Shue gives a look like, of course.
Yeah.
Because she's seen it before. Kim Dickens is like, oh. And then the other woman who's, I don't know the actress or the character's name, but she's good. She kind of just laughed.
I felt so bad having to write the black girl in my notes.
Yeah, but we should be.
That is how the movie treats her, though. It's not me.
Well, she's not seen as subordinate, but she and Slotnick get about as much screen time.
No, it's not about that the movie treats her as a character of color. It's just she's such a nothing character that the only thing that makes her stand out at all as a viewer is she's the only person of color in the cast.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mary Randall is this actor.
Totally.
And like I said, she only has 9 credits, and her career goes from 1999 to 2003.
That's really not fair given... but hopefully she found something
worthwhile. I don't know. I'm trying to look up to see if there's any information about what she's done since or anything like that. Because, once again, absolute nothing part, but I thought she was charismatic and likable in this. I don't know.
She was. She gave as good as she got. In other words, she was as quippy as the others. She delivered it well. But anyway, so you get Sebastian up on the table. I'll keep talking while you look that up.
Yeah.
And they pump him full of the drug, strap him down, and man, this was something where it's like Kevin Bacon was like, "Can I go all out on how painful this is?" And you had Verhoeven go even further. So Kevin Bacon is thrashing as he's starting to disappear, and it's again awesome effects as he disappears, and you see his veins and his muscles and all that shit, and he's screaming. They're like, "It's killing him! It's killing him!" Then he's then he's okay and invisible.
It does seem like she has remained performing on stage on Broadway and such like that.
Great.
She was in the original run of The Lion King back in the day. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's cool. Of course, in the classic, it's got. I've never seen a sci-fi movie where someone gets injected that doesn't go it's got to.
Kind of with like one like Jekyll and Hyde or Invisible Man movie where they drink the serum and then they sit there and go.
Or even,
and then they just change and are like, well, look at my hand.
Yeah, I mean that, or even I mean, go the opposite way too, where it's like, ooh, hey,
oh,
that could be interesting.
Well, they did a little bit. No, they didn't really do that. I was about to say Nutty Professor with Eddie Murphy.
It's still like it still ends up. I think maybe it does kind of start as that.
He is kind of like, oh yeah, like his butt totally just shrinks.
Oh yeah,
he's like going, woo, all okay, this is great.
By the way, better movie than this, Eddie Murphy's Nutty Professor.
I was doubtful of that movie when it came out.
Really
as much
good.
as I liked Eddie Murphy, I was doubtful. And
really
it was one of those pleasant surprises where I walked out of there going, that was great.
It was great. That was a great approach to remaking a thing without, like just copying or trying to. It's a totally new thing.
Can I just say that I agree with you right now?
Yeah. And another one where they really pushed the special effects forward at the time. I remember being so impressed with how that movie looked. That ages a little bit because it's the late 90s, but you're still going like, man, they were going. I really enjoy that movie. So yeah, he goes into a coma, but he is invisible.
He's invisible, but it took a lot out of him. So they're like, we need to watch him overnight. We're gonna put him in bed, and of course it's Elizabeth Shue watching him. She falls asleep. He wakes up. And he's like, hey, you okay? Wait, is it the first night that he creeps on Kim Dickens?
No. It's
maybe it's not the first night. That's right.
Yeah, he wakes and he's invisible, and they're trying to, and then they do this whole thing that once again kind of, you think this is a setup for something. They go, we need to lower the lights because his eyes are invisible.
I thought they were going to do something.
I thought that was going to defeat him later. Yeah, or something, weaken him or something. No. You know what's worse than a movie doing stuff out of nowhere to me is when a movie sets stuff up and doesn't pay it off.
Yeah, because then you go, what was the purpose?
Why even make a point of that? It's just this
when he wakes up, he throws the cover, again, invisible, and all this invisible stuff is looking great.
It's great, man. It's probably the best.
He's like, oh, God, my eyes, turn the lights off. And I'm like, oh, that's right.
This is probably the best invisibility effects we've seen in any movie.
Yeah, definitely so.
And it might stay that way until we get to that Elizabeth Moss movie.
Yeah. But here it is all about, oh, that's right. Even if you close your eyes, you're looking through your eyelids.
Oh, the other thing I like when he injected himself. Did we talk about that? That he's like, yeah.
Yeah, so you're not responsible.
Yeah, see, just give me that. Give me that shit, Josh Brolin. That's right.
He literally says, give me that shit, Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin, which I thought was weird.
And I thought they would cut that because he's calling the actor by his name. They didn't. It's in there.
So there's a bunch of dialogue here as he walks around invisible, and they're like, what's it like, man?
Yep. And he's like, this is cool. They're like, where are you? He's like, I'm over here at the mirror. I'm looking at myself.
Or not. Oh!
Because it's like I'm hollow.
It makes me think of Face Off. It's like looking in a mirror, only not.
Oh, boy. I love that movie, but that is a terrible line of dialogue.
I love that movie because that movie has no interest in reality and is a total operatic.
That's one where you just shut it off. You shut off all the
and if you do that, that movie is incredibly entertaining.
It's very entertaining.
Yeah. I love the how did this get made description of it. It's like kabuki theater. You've got to look at it as that. It's larger than life, and just go with it, man. So he's walking around, and then this is where they put the thermal camera on him so they can watch him and monitor him while he sleeps, and of course, this is establishing all this stuff. And then this is the second night when they leave Kim Dickens in charge.
Oh, that's it.
And this, boy, do I feel bad for Kim Dickens.
Boy, do I as well.
Yeah, this is, I mean,
because her career survived, though.
Oh yeah, she's great, and like I said, I mean, she continues to do. She was just in. What was she just in?
I don't know, but she's always good.
She's just in The Good Nurse with Jessica Chastain and Eddie Redmayne. I don't know if you saw
I didn't
that.
see it. Is it good?
It's very good. Very good.
The only reason I didn't watch it is, again, I've spent too much time with podcasts and things about the real story.
This is always
watching,
This is always the difference. I'm not a big true crime guy. When I am, I prefer to see good actors doing it.
Are you excited to see? Well, you didn't watch Candy, did you?
No, and I didn't watch it because I knew there was going to be one with Elizabeth Olsen. I'm going, oh, she's much better than Jessica Biel. So
However, I will say this from what I'm seeing and this is just my opinion, but watching the trailers for the upcoming Elizabeth Olsen version, it just doesn't look as good so far as Candy did. I mean, I enjoyed Candy. It was really well done.
I will not watch anything with Jessica Biel because I think she is so massively bad at acting. So
then you're short shrifting her because she was really good in Candy.
Wow,
I do agree with you.
She's basically incapable of acting. So
wow,
yeah, one of the worst to ever do it in the words of We Hate Movies.
You have to give her another chance.
No. I watched some of that Sinner show and I was
dude, she's great in Candy. And I'm sure Elizabeth Olsen will be amazing.
And it's also David E. Kelly, who I'm a big fan of, who wrote the HBO one.
All right.
Anyway, and Jesse Plemons, who's awesome.
Yep. So yeah, everything is awesome.
Yeah. Just like the Lego Movie. So they yes, this is where we get CGI boob fondling, and Paul Verhoeven supervised every single moment of this.
Yes.
I mean, it's one thing the boob it's one thing to do the undressing. Sure. It's one thing to do the CGI fingerprints. It's really the nipple pull that I really thought was all right movie.
Oh, I thought it was all right. Yeah, I thought it was really good. Is that what you meant? You said all right? I thought it was all right, too.
But I thought, number one, it could have just been a clothed finger grabbing the breast. It didn't have to be, but okay, if you're going to do that. But like I said, then it's just one of those things where it's like, come on, Verhoeven, you took it at least one, if not two steps further than it needed to go.
Yeah, this literally has our Invisible Man open because she has fallen asleep. She took the night shift watching him.
Yeah.
And he opens the lab door or whatever, and he's like, hey, are you awake? And she doesn't respond. So he's like, all right, I'm invisible. Walks in, unbuttons her top.
Yeah.
She's got earphones or earbuds in or something. She's listening to music maybe. And he just goes, honk. He totally squeezes a CG boob. And she's kind of responding, not like, oh, I'm turned on, but am I having a weird dream? And then she wakes up. This is kind of effective, though, because they do this thing of her not sure if it happened or not. But her top is still clearly not where she buttoned it.
That's the difference.
Like,
that's the difference
between
here,
Sebastian?
That's the difference between this and the Elizabeth Shue one later. Is the Elizabeth Shue one wakes and nothing has been disturbed. Here there is actual physical evidence that this happened.
Yeah, and so she's like, Sebastian, are you in here? And by the time she bothers to look at the monitor, which is the first thing I would have done, the thermal monitor, she sees that he is right back in bed because he just ran right back to his little room and hopped in bed.
I'm so bummed we didn't see that. We're just like,
I gotta say, they never did bring up the point I always make about Invisible Man movies. They never brought up the idea that to be a fully invisible man, it is a naked man running around constantly. Even when he's talking to them in a group, like when they're in the lab and they're like, well, how's it feel and all this stuff, no one's going, don't sit on that. That's your naked ass you're just putting on that thing.
The thing that's interesting is Verhoeven does make the point of showing the thermal and that he's naked and you have a CGI penis, but yes, no one reacts as if he's naked. But Verhoeven takes to the point of going, see, he's naked, and then they never do anything with it. And they also don't do
later
enough.
When they make a mask, which is supposed to be for his comfort and theirs.
Yeah.
And that's good, but day one I would have been like, there's no reason, even though you are the world's first invisible man, for you to be walking around naked. Well, here's some pajamas. We will see a set of pajamas walking around, and we can talk to that.
Right, because there's no
being like, am I over here? Or am I over here?
Because it's not doing like the thing where he would be doing missions or something like that. There's no benefit to him being completely invisible except to do evil.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing about this is so far so fast. Day 2 is an Invisible Man, and he's already committed a sexual assault.
Yeah, and basically the rules they have set up for him here in this world is, and he initially agrees with them, it's like, well, clearly we need to work on the reintegration, we're going to get you there, but also it's just best you need to stay here in the lab, but we'll take care of you, we'll watch over you. So he at first is like, yeah, obviously that's what needs to happen, but it is like 4 minutes later.
Yeah.
And also the reintegration process does not work, which means they have to go back to the drawing board. But he is essentially gets cabin fever like on day 2 or 3, where he's like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
I have to get out of here.
Yeah.
Like, dude, just sit down and eat your Subway stuff.
But like I said, his actions don't go from what if he was make him the voyeur, but the idea that it's immediately physical action is being taken. It's like it's just like boom, no, I am now a fucking rapist.
Yeah.
There's no
I know
escalation.
that they're implying that because they do some catch up with how time is passing, because he'll go, Jesus Christ, when are we going to crack reintegration? And because how long have I been? And they're like, it's been day 10. And he's like, God damn it.
Yeah.
So they will tell us that more time has passed than it feels like.
And that's the thing where I hate that, because they say that, but you don't feel it.
No, you don't.
What if even if they did like a little montage where it's saying the days and he's doing different stuff and you can feel some of that, like, oh, this guy's trapped, days are passing. No, it's just like, how long has it been? And somebody goes day 10. I'm going, okay.
Yep.
So you say movie.
Wow. Again, you're taking it right to the movie.
I do like when he's growing frustrated at the test. I do like that he has invisible vomit. I thought that was kind of cool.
That was, it was kind of neat. Yeah. Though, again, they can't quite decide on, in other words, things that go into him also pretty much disappear immediately. They are not doing the classic or the Memoirs of Invisible Man thing where, like, currently I'm chewing gum, and they do that in that movie. You see the gum floating in midair being chewed on. They don't really do anything with that in this movie.
Well, they do make a thing in this movie that I like, because they do all the intravenous stuff, that like every part of him is invisible, which is kind of an interesting idea. Like, so yeah, I guess you would still see the food,
but once stuff gets absorbed into his veins, apparently it also becomes invisible.
Yeah, and I just I just accept that. I mean, once again, if that was the lone problem here, then, but it's just like, okay.
Oh no, there's a lot.
That doesn't even crack the top 30 problems with this movie.
Nope.
So yes, he gets out because Greg Grunberg's looking at porn when he should be watching Kevin Bacon.
Yep.
He's reading a Penthouse.
Yep.
And Kevin.
No, he's reading something classier. I really appreciated it. Oh God, what was it?
I clocked it as a Penthouse.
But it was Perfect 10 magazine.
Oh.
Which also, I don't think exists anymore.
No.
But I think that was like, if you are sick of FHM and Maxim, but you don't want to go full on Playboy Penthouse.
Their big gimmick was and hence the Perfect 10 of it was all natural women. So it wasn't.
There you go.
Pamela Anderson's a Playboy.
So in other words, this character Greg Grunberg is playing very classy.
Very classy and kind of a feminist, really, in the think of it. He's just like, I appreciate women being natural.
Actually, they give him horrible dialogue to say as this character.
Poor Greg Grunberg, who's another actor I like.
Oh yeah, I would grab those. I would take you to town. He's saying stuff like that.
Well, because later when he comes back, he goes, "Hey man, what'd you get up to out there, huh?"
Yeah. Greg Grunberg is the one character that really bonds with Sebastian when he comes back from his invisible.
I just like, hey, as a fellow Crete man, I just want to say I'm a fan of your work. Like that's
pretty much what it is. It's like going, look, it's I'm living vicariously through you. So you going out there and seeing your next door neighbor naked? Oh, I didn't just see her naked. I full on raped her. Oh,
well, but actually, that could have been an interesting thing too if he was like kind of getting off on it, and then there's some sort of like line that's crossed, and Grunberg could have. I'm just trying to give anyone a fucking arc in this movie. Jesus Christ.
and a chance to be decent.
Because once you've got talent, I love Grunberg.
But essentially, what our friend has done, he sneaks out, and he has, because they made him this latex mask.
Yeah. Once again,
which is
very
everyone
cool
points
design.
out online. It's a good look, but the mask, which they pour latex over his face, and he just has the breathing tube. He has hair, but the mask shows no hair.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
And plus,
because later he puts a wig on.
Pouring wet latex over your head, man, over your hair.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, that's
why didn't that? I mean, another simple fix for whatever the procedure he had to shave his head. That would have been something.
Yep.
You could have come up with any number of things.
When he comes back as visible later in the movie, then he would just be a bald guy.
Those are the things that baffle me in movies where I'm like, there's such easy fixes that are right there to explain logic problems that should have been caught.
And what I totally anticipate is someone on the set does catch it and says, oh, we could just... And then I have a feeling it goes all the way to the top, and Verhoeven's like going, no one's ever going to think about that.
And then, of course, as is almost always the case, everyone thinks about it.
Everyone thinks about it.
Especially because the movie doesn't work. Once again, in a good movie, sometimes it is like it takes 5 or 6 viewings to go, oh, wait, that kind of doesn't, but I was just enjoying the story. But in a movie where I'm not enjoying the story, I'm going like, doesn't he have hair? Isn't that bullshit? Like,
there are movies that will take you away from those logic problems, but they have to be amazing movies because most people will be distracted if the movie's not that amazing by these dumb choices.
It's literally is what we were just talking about with Face Off. Almost nothing in that movie makes sense, but it's so much fun that nobody cares.
Well, also every decision in that is batshit, so you just have to give up at the very beginning.
It's a movie. It's the kind of movies I like. Once again, it's my love of the Fast and the Furious, where it's just like it teaches you this is what we're doing. You can turn it off, or you can just accept we're gonna be insane. It just is, and a lot of action.
It's gonna be dumb fun, not smart fun, but dumb fun.
It's fun. Fun is fun, sir.
Fun is fun, but there are different types where you go, wow, that was really stupid, but I really enjoyed it.
And then there are movies like this where it's neither smart nor fun.
Oh, I found this one very smart. But what he does is he sneaks out under Greg Grunberg's watch. Mm-hmm. He gets in his car.
Yeah.
He puts on the mask and these gloves. They're all flesh colored.
Yeah.
He puts on a hat, and basically he's like, I'm going out for a while. And the security guard's like, yeah, sure thing, doctor, whatever your name is. Bye, Dr. Kane. Bye. And then he goes home. Well, first he freaks out kids in a car.
Oh, yeah.
Look at me.
A booga boo. He did. I thought it was
been more hollow than I am right now.
I thought it was really weird when he said a booga boo, but whatever.
Because that's his catchphrase. He said it in every movie. It has nothing to do with this one.
A boogity boo. Don't you remember?
Yeah, and you're like, don't you remember when Kevin Bacon?
God, he does it a couple times in Silver Streak, I think, actually.
Wait, it's not Silver Streak.
No, it's not Silver Streak. I'm sorry. It's
Quicksilver.
Quicksilver. Silver Streak
is
where he's Gene Wilder
bike guy. I was like, Silver Streak. I was like,
Gene
was
Wilder
he in that?
No.
As a child?
Yeah, Quicksilver.
I think it started with his performance in Animal House, where he showed up saying "a boogity boogity boo."
The Animal House. That's always one of those things where he has some lines and he's in some scenes, but it's only in retrospect that you're like, look at that guy. He's a major movie star now.
Like when we get around to Ginger Snaps 2, will I be looking for Tatiana Maslany in every background scene? I will.
I think she actually has a big part in that.
She has a character name, so maybe she's got a bigger part.
I think she does have an actual big part in that. Okay, the person I feel most bad for in this movie is Rona Mitra, right?
Who, yeah, I definitely feel terrible for her, and I've liked her in things.
Yeah, but she is literally just a pair of tits in this movie. Really.
That is all she is. She's his neighbor. We don't get a name.
No, she's credited as Sebastian's neighbor. Yeah. It's
he watches her because she's hot.
Mm-hmm. She's a beautiful woman, yeah.
Now that he's invisible, he's like, oh, I don't have to be disappointed that I don't get to see her boobs because she won't even know I'm there.
Right.
So then he goes over there while she is apparently taking a shower, gotten out of the shower.
Yeah.
And now he basically buzzes the door to sneak in.
One of the classic pervo things in a movie, which is just like, we need nudity. So obviously, you know how women are always just putting cream on their breasts.
They always do.
They just really need to moisturize those breasts.
Yeah, and for like almost like an hour at a time.
Anytime I see this in a movie, I'm just like, oh, come, this is just here to go. Yeah, we got to see him.
Yeah, and we do.
We do, and like I said, I mean, she's very beautiful, but she actually can act.
She actually can, but she gets no dialogue here. She checks out the door because the doorbell rings. There's no one there. Oh, could it be the Invisible Man has snuck in while she had the door open? Of course. She comes back into her place, and then he just attacks her.
He just attacks her
as an Invisible Man.
And it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know if should she be upset that there's less of a performance when what was here was a more graphic rape scene of her.
She sells, even in what we get in the theatrical version, she sells how disturbing it would be to have an invisible force suddenly take you sexually. Yeah. So it's disturbing
because she's a good actor.
And I don't think I need more of it.
You definitely don't need more. In fact, I actually thought, before I knew there was a director's cut, I actually thought, wow, that actually was Verhoeven kind of holding back. That it's mostly like, I think you get her on the bed and her legs pulled apart and it cuts away.
Yeah.
And
her
like,
arms are up, like probably she's being pinned or something.
I think this was a valid studio note to go, you know what happened, and I saw just enough to be horrified by it.
Yep.
By the way, we're going to talk about Rona Mitra a few more times in the coming episodes. So in actual parts in movies, because we'll see her again in Skinwalkers and Underworld: Rise of the Lycans.
I figured she was in one of the Underworlds. I couldn't remember which one.
Yeah, it's the third one.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll get more of her.
Hopefully she'll have lines and not be raped.
I do know in Rise of the Lycans, I've never seen Skinwalkers, but Rise of the Lycans, she's like one of the main characters. So
good for her.
And speaking of David E. Kelly, she goes on after this to be on The Practice and Boston Legal.
I'm primarily aware of her through those.
Yeah, that was definitely where I first sort of noticed her. Because believe it or not, I did not remember this movie.
Believe it or not,
even
you didn't remember this movie.
Because I saw this when it came out, and this is the first time I've watched it since, and I was like, I remember a couple things in it.
Weirdly, I think this is one I watched in patches, just wandering through a room.
This was definitely.
Like I was probably doing laundry, and it was on cable, and I was like, "Oh, those effects are good." And then I would hear a terrible piece of dialogue, and I go, "What was that? The dryer?"
Did not see it in the theater, but did like rent it immediately at Blockbuster when it came out, because I was like, "Oh my God, Kevin Bacon's invisible." But the word was it was bad. Like, I mean, once again, it was pretty.
And guess what? The word was correct.
Yeah, and hey, but believe it or not, much like I'm walking on air, this will get worse because there's an even worse sequel to this that we'll talk about. So. Hollow Man 2, Hollow Men.
Great. I was hoping it'd be hollower.
No,
Man.
It's Hollow Men, because in that one there's a bad and a good Invisible Man, and they have to fight.
Right. Yes, Invisible Man fighting.
Christian Slater is the evil Invisible Man, and Peter Facinelli.
When you just can't be bothered to film a fight scene.
That's always the joke about it, is it's just shots of empty alleyways and hey, get over here.
Gotta be the best ever.
Yeah, well, we'll get there. Okay, so he returns to the lab, and everybody's like, what the fuck, man? You can't just leave. And then he pulls rank on them and just goes, I'm in charge here. I'm the main scientist, so I do whatever I want to do. And once again, I fucking hate this guy. Not because he's crazy and evil, but because he's an asshole.
He's a big old asshole.
That's the problem. Is I'm
if we were visible, we would probably be seeing that asshole.
We'd be seeing everything. And
I would,
like you talk about, if I was one of these scientists, I would never forget his penis is out right now. It's just out.
Exactly.
I'm in a room with a naked man, and we're all just pretending this is normal.
Yeah. I would literally say, don't sit on anything. That's your butt sweat. I don't want it.
You know what? I actually can't believe the movie didn't do it. He goes to sit on a couch and Grunberg's like, whoa, 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 and puts a towel down or something like that.
That should have happened.
Just once. If you just did it once, I'd be like, okay, nice. You acknowledged it. I'm not asking for much. And then this is where they talk about, I don't know, man, he's going crazy, I think. But is he? He was already awful.
But he wasn't raping and killing awful.
But they don't.
So he has crossed the line.
But we know that. They don't know that.
That's true.
In fact, nothing actually ever comes of the rape of the neighbor.
I know, which is one of the most disturbing
things.
Like,
why don't they hear about that or something?
He will die at the end of the movie, but that woman will never know that her rapist was caught. She'll never be able to explain it because it was an invisible thing raping her.
What we did not see is
her life is ruined.
There was a deleted scene where she was telling all of this to Christopher Maloney and Mariska Hargitay because they were investigating one of New York's most sensitive cases.
Chong chong.
Chung chung. I don't know if it's a disturbing thing that's like a bedtime show for me, that SVU. I just love it.
Well, I listen to true crime podcasts.
I think it's the same thing. Like, once again, I'm not a true crime guy, but I'm a big Law and Order guy, and I think that's a similar itch that's being scratched.
I'm just sitting there going like, oh, okay, great. So how many pieces was that person in? Okay, great. Night, night.
The Law and Orders are kind of, because there's a comfort to how formulaic it is that I can kind of be like, oh, if I fall asleep mid-trial, it'll probably be all right.
Okay.
All right. So, yeah, she... let's see. Oh, he gets. Where am I going here?
I don't know where you're going.
Sorry. Yeah, we get the weird thing that's maybe a dream or maybe it happened where he attacks Elizabeth Shue. We kind of already talked about that.
That's a dream.
Yeah, it's just weird though. Once again, like, you already did it for Rio with Kim Dickens, so why even do this? Especially because you're not really.
Well, at that point, he's not out of. At that point, he's back in the lab. So this is happening. She's having this dream.
While this is happening, yes, and while this is happening, is where he figures out how to fake the camera out, speed style.
Man, it's so good. He puts in a loop of him sleeping, and they never catch on until they do catch on.
And now, once again, he's already raped a woman, so him just spying on Elizabeth Shue feels pretty low level.
It's very low level, and you actually expect it to escalate.
This should have been earlier.
Yeah, one thing I find is interesting is this is where he finds out that it's not that she has another boyfriend. He expected that. He's rolling with it. It's the fact that it ends up being Josh Brolin, and she was keeping that the secret.
Yeah.
And that is what leads him to true homicidal rage. The thing I was finding interesting is, wouldn't that, in his insane state, I imagined he would have broken right into that window and tried to attack both of them right there.
He just breaks the window and runs off.
And he runs off going like, fucking bastards. He just kind of like, I'll get you.
Doesn't he have a line later when he's like, I always knew you were a bitch? And I'm like, that. By the way, that's a weird line to say to somebody you were in like an ongoing relationship with. Wouldn't the line...
And we're basically, weirdly in your own way, trying to win back. But now you're going like, I always knew you were a bitch.
But I always knew you were a bitch. If you're going to have the same line should have been, you always were a bitch, I feel like. It's just I always knew you were a bitch implies I didn't know you very well, but I had an opinion of you.
I'm going to have to ask you to stop rewriting this movie because I want to finish this.
No,
and go into a world where I haven't seen Hollow Man.
I will say I watched this and then immediately watched the new episode of Ted Lasso afterwards, which was a great decision.
It's always a good decision.
It's always a good decision, but like I don't know
it's a palate cleanser.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know that I've ever needed Ted Lasso more than after watching Hollow Man. I just needed that man and his kindness in my life. Yeah, that guy. Ugh, so
and
good.
We finally got the origin of his mustache. Moving on.
It's a Jeff Foxworthy, sir. She and then what does he do? Yeah, once again, he fucking raped a woman. Then he bashes a window, and he's like, oh, I'm just so mad. I'm gonna kill this invisible dog.
Yeah. Oh, well, no, that's not the weirdest one. The weirdest one is, I think he's on his way to Elizabeth Shue's place, and he just fucks with that homeless guy for no reason.
Oh yeah, that was weird too.
He just grabs the guy's, like shopping cart full of garbage and just pulls it away from him.
That should have been the first thing he did out of the lab. Like that's so low level.
It's low level and nonsensical.
Can I also?
It's just assholery.
I know I'm trying to. Okay, I know I'm gonna try to stop fixing the movie, but let me just. If he saw them together and in that rage, then went and raped his neighbor, that would have been. An escalation.
Would be a cause and effect.
It would have been. It still would have been kind of dumb, but it at least would have been a believable escalation of his psychosis.
And it still would have been gross.
It still would have been gross, but at least it would have been like, I'm following his descent into evil. Yeah. Instead, no. So he comes back to life. He kills the dog, the invisible dog, which is, by the way, it's the. They do it in the thermal vision, right? Because they're both invisible. Which leads me to this question: If I'm invisible and you're invisible, can I see you?
I was
because
wondering
apparently
if they were going
he can
to
see this dog.
That.
The dog we see is invisible.
Well, I will say the cage isn't huge, and he probably could just feel around till he found it.
But also, I just love the way this, because it's all from the security, so it's all one take, and you see Kevin Bacon grab a very much alive dog, swing it out of frame, and then come back with the fake dog that he slams into the thing. I'm like, I saw that switch happen.
A lot of people online that didn't catch the fact that he had traded off real for fake.
I mean, look,
there are a lot of people that thought Verhoeven allowed an actor to slam a living creature
that would
into a wall.
Never happen. Maybe in 1930 that might have happened, but that was never going to be the case. And also, honestly though, I don't know how they missed it, because I clocked it as being a pretty clumsy switch out.
Yeah.
So.
But it happens pretty fast. But
it does. It is disturbing.
Again,
I always
dog.
hate. Once again, that's awful, and I always am most upset by violence against animals in movies. But he has already raped a woman. This is nothing compared to that.
I know.
My God, movie.
I know.
You're just like, well, that is pretty shitty, man. But and then for the movie to also forget about her, like you said, is also.
Yep.
Ice-T would not have stood for that. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, they he does that. And then so finally they're Elizabeth Shue discovers that he's tampered with the camera and set the loop, and they're like, oh fuck, who knows where he is then? This guy's out of control. We got to go tell William Devane on. We got to go tell Dad on him, basically, right?
Right.
And so William Devane's like, oh shit, why'd you let him do that?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
What is the problem here?
But of course it's one of those things too where it's like, well, you guys go home. I'll call them in the morning.
You know what they don't really explain here is they don't really explain how invisible Kevin Bacon is able to follow them, knowing that they're going to Devane's place.
I have to imagine it's a Cape Fear thing, and he strapped himself to the bottom of the car.
I was actually thinking, like, that's the only thing.
Or he's just riding on top of the car.
How he would know that they're there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess maybe.
Once again, Jesus Christ, I swear I have to stop doing this, but it's just how my brain works. Just do a scene. They pull up to William Devane's house. They get out and walk in. The camera stays on the car, and then the back door of the car opens. And
Yeah.
Simple shit, man. Ugh.
But we ain't got time for that.
They were doing that stuff in the 30s, man.
We don't have time for that.
There's no time for the.
Keep it stupid simple is what they've changed that slogan.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Keep it stupid simple, and that is they actively choose stupidity in places.
They do.
So yeah, but and this is where I always hate that thing where it's like, well, now I have all the evidence and I'm going to ruin Kevin Bacon tomorrow.
Yep.
Giving Kevin Bacon, but in the meantime, let me walk out by my pool and smoke this pipe so that the pipe smoke can reveal Kevin Bacon.
Yep.
And it does, and he drowns William Devane, and I thought...
And he's like, oh no! And then he drowns, and his wife sees him drown. He's like, oh my God! My God!
An absolute waste of an extremely good actor.
Yep.
Ugh, God, it just pisses me off.
Hey, don't blame us. Blame that invisible Kevin Bacon. He's the problem.
This same year, he was also in Space Cowboys with Clint Eastwood, William Devane.
Oh, God, Space Cowboys.
Remember the old guys in space movie?
Well, that was a Warner Brothers production, and it
Oh,
was, again, I was on the lot while it was being made, and then they had the posters up everywhere on the lot. I
yeah.
never saw them. I never saw the filming of it, but that was while I was there.
Hmm?
So did I see a free employee screening of it? Yes. Did I walk out going, "What?" Yes.
Oh,
I
well,
liked the people together. I was like, "Oh, look at that
I like the
cast."
movie. I like the movie just fine. I saw it in the theater. I did
Yeah,
not see
you're
this
the
in the
type.
theater.
That's right. I'm saying it.
Well, I mean, I think we've all discovered my love of old man action movies. I mean, there's no.
You just love old men, and no, look, that's not a judgment. I say good on you.
I love a movie where it's like this old guy's still got it.
Yeah,
I just love it,
and they
man.
sure did. But the idea that they were all of the same age, that cracked me up.
I thought you were going to bring up the fact that they have the young actors at the beginning with their voices dubbed over, which is what I always think about. When
Well,
you've got a guy and he sounds like 70-year-old Clint Eastwood.
yeah.
That's right. I don't know, man.
After this,
And you got another guy going, I don't know, man. It's me, Tommy Lee Jones.
Yep.
He says, check every outhouse, doghouse. No, all right.
I think that there's 20 years difference in some of their ages, so they wouldn't have been all buddies.
Oh, they're all vaguely old though. It worked.
They're vaguely old.
It
Yep.
worked for me. He drowns him in the pool, and then, it's the next day, and Elizabeth Shue is basically just in the lab going, really thought William Devane would have called us by now to say what happened. This is pretty weird that he didn't. And then boop, 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 better call him. What's that? He drowned in his pool last night.
He's drowned in his pool.
Josh Brolin's like, well, that's bad. And they still don't. There's multiple times in this movie that I always hate in these things where they're still not going, obviously invisible Kevin Bacon has done it, because they're more like, that's weird that happened.
I think they kind of know.
But it's that thing where it's like, you don't think, it's like, it's so fucking obvious that he did that. Also, they needed to hear that the neighbor was raped. They at least needed to hear that.
Well, they do mention it later.
Do they? When do they mention it?
At some point, it's like, that is all that you're using this for is, someone knows. I think I remember that.
I don't know that's
I will
true.
also say I had so many gummies last night. I had so many.
I mean, fair enough. This is a movie to be high for, not because it's like trippy, but just because being anywhere else than watching this movie is a good. It's not like, man, drop acid and watch Hollow Man. It's just like, I just need to escape Hollow Man.
Yeah. Where's Ted Lasso when I really need him?
Yeah, that's it exactly. I need to get back to AFC Richmond. But yes, of course they're like, oh well, shit, we've got to call somebody about this. And I guess in the time between, well, I think they once again go and check. Kevin Bacon's not there, and now Elizabeth Shue goes, I got to call the general. What's this? The phones have been cut. I
at this point, I actually, while watching it, am dreading this, because I'm like going, no, it is now exactly.
Now it is the killer is inside the house, right?
Yep.
It is exactly what this is.
We can't escape. We have to survive. He's invisible.
And they go, let's go to the elevator, and they type in their secret codes to use the elevator. And what's this?
Oh no, we're locked out.
We're locked out. And then they're like, they're still so dumb. They're going, what happened? Joey Slotnick, why don't you look at the computer? Well, this is weird. Everybody's code has been deleted except for Kevin Bacon.
Yep.
Come on, guys. How is that a surprise to find that in the computer log? My God.
I don't think there should be a big surprise, since there are literally 6 people.
But it's just like, once again, the phone line, William Devane's dead. That had to be Kevin Bacon. The phone line is cut. Had to be Kevin Bacon. Elevator doesn't work. Probably Kevin Bacon as well. This is not a thing where they don't know. They know he's invisible and going crazy. They have all the information to put this together. And the thing is, like, yeah, exactly. Like you're saying, though, that yes, they're kind of putting it together, but nobody's too alarmed early. Like, I think that's the thing where I'm just going, like, you guys need to be more concerned sooner.
Yeah, it should be sinking in a lot faster.
Once you even think he's taken a life, like, let's get to where we go here now, which is Josh Brolin and Greg Grunberg put on their thermal glasses and grab their trank guns and going, "We got to get him, man. We got to hunt him down.
We're going to hunt him down."
And this is a cool idea for a scene. Guys trying to find an invisible... I mean, but it's honestly, it's done better in the Whale movie when you just have the cops outside.
Yeah, but in this case, absolutely, actually. But in this case, the whole thing of, again, logic starts really going out the window where they've got the thermal goggles on, and mad genius Kevin Bacon, he's like, "Oh, I know what will happen or how it can throw them off. I will open these steam vents to raise the temperature so that I blend in." That's clever thinking. However, he is a naked man who just filled this tube with hot steam.
Well, they show that
probably going to be scalded.
They put the scalding on Brolin at one point, and I think, how is it not burning Kevin Bacon?
I know. He is literally, when we see him, he is on top of the steam vent on the tube. And so he's a nude man straddling an enormous hot pipe and reaching down to, I mean, it's effective because not Kevin Bacon, James Brolin is being yanked into the midair by nothing. That's cool. But you realize that guy's junk is being fried on a hot steam pipe.
It's Grunberg that's being lifted up.
It is Grunberg.
Because Grunberg then gets thrown down and clocks his head on something.
Yeah, and that's a bad way to go down.
It's a bad way to go. And it's also one of those things where...
I do love they spend 3 minutes of the movie going, "Hang in there, don't you die on me." And then Elizabeth Shue runs up and goes, "He's dead." And they're like, "Oh."
That's exactly what I was just going to say. Because I thought, as soon as he hit his head, I go, and I wrote down, Greg Grunberg is killed. And then we're like, "No, Kim Dickens, stay with him and hold the wound." And you're like, wait, is he going to be okay? Oh no, he just dies a couple minutes later. It doesn't matter that just kill him. Just make it definitive. And at the same time this is happening, they find, poor, what's her name? Mary Randall, I think. Is that what I said her name was? Yes, Mary Randall. Yeah, that's the actress. They find her dead in a locker. Having been strangled, is that the idea?
Yes, she was strangled. She was the last one. Like when they ran out of the lab, they all went kind of in a line. She was the last one, and he literally just strangles her. Here's something also I love. All right, so Greg Grunberg is down. They need, he's losing blood. So we have veterinarian Kim Dickens go, "I'm going to, we can save him. He's not too far gone." She goes back to the lab where they have blood packs. Obviously. And she has gathered up 5 or 6 of them. She is ready to transfuse the fuck out of that guy. But then she hears the door open and she's like, "Oh God, he's in here with me." She can't see him. She doesn't have those cool goggles. Why doesn't everyone have the cool goggles?
I did think it's interesting. We seem to see that they only have 2 sets of those at a time.
Seems like. So her brilliant idea is to rip open one of the blood packets, spray the blood on the floor. It's not a bad idea. You'll see his footprints. And then she just keeps going. And I'm sitting there going, leave one for Greg Grunberg at least. She goes through them all.
No, Grunberg is fucked, man.
He totally gets fucked. And then we find out he was behind her the whole time.
Yes.
She had sprayed the blood everywhere in front of her. And I'm like, God damn, that is... I will say, even in this, which is not a satire, there is a black comedy to almost everything Verhoeven does.
The problem
to me, I kind of laughed because what a waste of everything.
That's the thing, though. But usually I'm laughing with him, but here I'm going, I don't know if he's in on it here. That's the problem. Is I'm debating whether or not he's aware of what he's doing. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing where you go
it just might be something so
that's
intrinsic that he doesn't.
And I think that's where I agree with what he's saying. When it doesn't feel like a Verhoeven movie, is like, this doesn't feel as confident or as assured in its tone as those other ones that have worked. Even as fucking terrible as Showgirls is, it is consistently campy. And that movie is awful, of course. But at least
it is watchable once.
Yes.
and usually with a group of drunk friends.
Yeah. Because it is so over the top, but it is consciously over the top. Here I'm going like, is he being funny or is this just stupid? And that's not a good feeling in a Verhoeven movie. So yeah, Grunberg's dead. She gets shot with a dart, Kim Dickens, and then he snaps her neck. So she's fucking dead. Now they're all just getting kicked off one by one. You see Joey Slotnick stand up and go like, I don't know what's gonna, and then he just gets fucking impaled through the back.
He does.
Yeah. And then
and he was the one that had was it his idea, or was it again Josh Brolin being like Hero Man going, use the fire extinguisher, because that's the new tool, is use the fire extinguisher to see the guy.
It's Brolin. Yeah. And so yeah, they're using, he's spraying the fire extinguisher to try to see him, but yeah, Slotnick gets gutted, and then Brolin gets not fully impaled, but like he catches the curved part of the crowbar in the side.
Yeah,
he gets like hooked through the side.
Yeah,
and but he's gonna be fine because Elizabeth Shue goes, he didn't hit anything vital, but what's this? They're now locked in the freezer, and he's cranked up to max.
Yeah, he locks them in the freezer and cranks the chill. So he starts going, I can't feel anything. And she's like, don't you die on me. There's a lot of don't you die on me in this movie.
This is bad. This is two really good actors in a horrible scene.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my God. And then, because she's also a scientist, and at least,
oh my God, Elizabeth Shue.
It's not much of a saving grace, but at the end of the day, the hero of the movie is Elizabeth Shue being quick thinking and a badass. But it's,
when she goes, you mean when she goes full MacGyver here?
Yeah. Here she's like, I will strip the defibrillator and I'll do this thing. And
yeah, and she makes a magnet that allows her through the metal door to pull out the locking mechanism, right? To slide the hinge or whatever.
And she gets him out of there, and she throws a bunch of stuff in a handy. I gotta say, it's nice. They've got like steel barrels in this lab, and she makes a barrel fire for poor frozen and wounded.
And I do love that she just leaves him by the fire and goes, "You'll be okay." Now I got to go fight Kevin Bacon, and this is where she has now, once again, like a lot of things in this movie, cool on paper, she has rigged up the fire extinguisher to become a flamethrower.
Yep.
Cool idea. Also, because the movie, once again, somebody read a screenwriting book. For some reason, Kevin Bacon has set a bomb to go off in 5 minutes. So there's a ticking clock throughout this whole thing.
He has created...
why did they need this?
Using oh shit, what's the name of that thing? I know the name of that. Why is my brain going? You know, with the centrifuge. Okay,
so yeah.
He puts basically nitroglycerin in a centrifuge.
And how do I know that? Because Josh Brolin looks at it later and goes, "It's nitro."
Yeah, she's like, "Turn it off." He goes, "No, it's nitro." Oh, okay. So basically, it's set to go off at a certain time, and it'll blow the place sky high. So now they have the ticking bomb. They got to get out of there.
Which is so. There's already an Invisible Man trying to kill them. We do not need a bomb that's about to go off.
Yeah.
God damn it. This movie, it's just, there's too many, like I said, I'm seeing the screenwriting math. It's not working, but I'm seeing where they're going, gotta have that, gotta do this. Yeah,
it is at this point trying to go for the summer blockbuster, Die Hard kind of thing. And you're like, no, I don't want this in my Invisible Man movie.
No, and especially because like we talked about, that poster is really selling it on like, he's a creeping, stalking presence. I won't say it, but there are the initials EM and another movie that came out a couple years ago that does this much better. Anyway,
Emily Mortimer in.
Oh, no, wait. You know what? I wouldn't mind that. I'd watch an Emily Mortimer Invisible Man movie.
Actually, I would too.
Yeah, she's great. I'd watch her in anything. She's awesome. And so is Elizabeth Moss. That's what I was talking about. Spoiler, folks.
We are fans of EM actresses.
Yeah. So then we've got this. She lights his ass up with this thing. This should have killed him. Of course it doesn't. She just fucking douses him in flames in this elevator.
And then in the elevator, and then also like pursues him. Like, you're not getting away from me.
He's literally
just on torching.
And once again, it's because the character doesn't make a lot of sense. I am going like, go Elizabeth Shue, but also I know nothing about you as a person to think you might be capable of this. But it's cool visuals.
And what they're showing is, again, he's a nude man with no superpowers who is getting roasted.
It should kill him, but even if it doesn't kill him, the pain should be so unbearable and horrifying.
You see, like char. You actually see
another cool effect.
Yes, cooked flesh. But as he runs, it flakes off, and you're
like,
"Why
did that happen?
That's not how that works." Okay, if your flesh has melted, that stuff stays there. It stays there a long time.
Yeah, it all brushes off, and then oh shit, he's back up, and she didn't finish him off, and now the thing's running out of juice. You see the pressure gauge going down, but then she's like, wait, there's a fire sprinkler above me, and I have just enough to turn that thing on. And once again, good thinking, right? Like.
Which will allow her to see him, because the water will, create the halo
of course,
effect.
He's already behind her when this happens. Stupid. Stupid. She didn't think that at all. She doesn't like hug the wall and go like look around or something like that. She goes, he must still just be in front of me. Well, which actually, I guess to be fair, it's not her being stupid, because she should think he's so badly burned he can't move. But no, instead, it's all flaked off, and now watered, silhouetted Kevin Bacon is choking her. And then, what's this? Crowbar from out of frame. It's a now all better Josh Brolin.
He's okay, everybody. He's okay enough to hit the guy with the crowbar.
And he clubs him with that, and then, of course, immediately, he grabs her, and they start running from him, so he's behind them again. Idiots.
How is this person walking, running, how is he alive?
Well, then he gets the crowbar, he comes at them, they dodge it, and he buries the thing in a junction box that lights him up with electricity.
Thanks to the the water main having sprayed them. So there's water all over this place. They're standing in it too. Now, true, he is nude, and let's say generously. Let's say generously that they are both wearing rubber-soled shoes.
Yeah.
Will that provide them some? Yeah, but it doesn't make a lot of sense that this guy, electricity would go from the junction box through the crowbar into him, into the water, and then it should be frying those other two
other thing that got me is they're in like almost a foot of standing water instantly. That didn't take any time, because that's the thing where you could just ditch that. Why do they have to be splashing through water? Because they want to do the splish splash effect, is right?
Yeah, because it's awesome.
And so I'm like, all right, well now he's definitely he has to be dead now, right?
I know, because unless you have stated, and they never did.
Nope.
Unless they had stated that he has some sort of superhuman abilities or recuperative abilities, they need to say that. Yeah. And I would accept it because it's gobbledygook sci-fi. But instead here,
I'll accept anything they say, basically, right? Like,
as far as we know, he's just a naked man. He should be so dead, it's not funny.
He's just like a tall, kind of skinny dude. I don't know, man.
A tall, skinny dude who has been fried and electrocuted and hit with a crowbar.
And I did think here, I'm like, okay, he is dead, because now the threat is, all right, we've killed him, but now we got to get out before the bomb goes off.
Yeah.
I guess, I'm sorry, I gave the movie too much credit to not do one more. And also, the whole bomb goes off. We literally see fire tearing. Oh, because they established earlier, well, they can't use the elevator. There's a ladder in there, so they can climb up to the top floor.
Yes.
Because there was also
the elevator's doing up and down stuff. Well, they have to duck out of the way.
When the bomb goes off, the force of the explosion shoots the elevator up, and then presumably it's just gravity that brings it back down. Mm-hmm. And so they have to dodge this elevator. They do one thing where it just clips Elizabeth Shue's arm. She's like, it just. It just ooh.
And then she pulls the gun from behind her back where she had duct taped.
I was gonna say that little moment is very summer action movie. That's like Broken Arrow that happens to Christian Slater and stuff like that.
Right.
You just gotta have
Broken Arrow. I saw that in the theater.
Love Broken Arrow, man. That movie's a lot of fun.
That's dumb fun too.
It's very fun. That's also a John Woo movie. And Travolta's going for it in that as well. So that clips her. And then they're like, oh, man, they're going to get away. So once again, the bomb has exploded. Verhoeven spends these long moments of fire moving through every hallway of the lab. So somehow, Kevin Bacon also survived that.
Yep.
The entire lab is consumed in fire, where he just was. The elevator is shot up and down, and then somehow, out of the fiery wreckage of the elevator, comes Kevin Bacon. This is one of how do you make a movie like this and not just go, I'm sorry, this is stupid. This isn't dumb fun. This is stupid, and that's
at
key.
this point, is it due to his injuries that he's turning back? I can't remember why.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Now,
and he's
like the see-through model skeleton guy.
And of course, he grabs Elizabeth's shoe, and then they end up falling back into the wrecked elevator, which should be, so burning hot from all the fire that's consumed it. But just so he can be a creep. What's his plan? He just wants to be a creep some more.
Yeah, he's like, give us a kiss.
One last kiss. So that he can creepy, muscular system, see-through man Kevin Bacon kisses Elizabeth Shue. I will say, not super convincing on the lip contact there.
No, because they do the press in.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that his lips are still there. There should actually be space between it because the lips are still there, just invisible. So it wouldn't be his teeth up against her lips.
Right.
There would be this gap where his invisible lips are. So they fucked up there. And I sent them a letter. I never heard back.
But then she kicks out the last cable from the elevator.
Yeah.
She holds on to while he falls, and presumably he's dead now, although what end?
There's a fireball that also comes up, or he's falling into a fireball, so he's like, and then he's literally consumed by flame. And if they bring him back in the sequel, fuck you.
I don't think so. I think Christian Slater is a new Hollow Man.
Oh, what a good choice. Talk about someone who can be charming and creepy.
He can. I mean, I don't think I'm sure he won't be in that, but I mean, he definitely can do that.
Yes, he can.
That will. I have a feeling that we'll have similar issues there with another good actor. Although I think in that one he is just there at the beginning and end, and then wasn't around.
Oh.
Because I think that's straight to video too, and I don't think they were spending the money.
I like the idea that he called Kevin Bacon's like, "Hey, I'm thinking about taking this part. What did you go through?" And then Kevin Bacon tells him, he goes, "Well, I know what to tell them. I'm not going to do now."
Oh, apparently they just reuse a lot of shots already filmed for this, according to what I'm looking at here.
Man, that really worked out for everybody.
Yeah, everybody loves Hollow Man. Everybody talks about how much better Hollow Man 2 is. That's where things really got good in the Hollow Man franchise.
Oh God! So that's it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, she unhooks the cable, falls in the fire, and then it's just because it's it's 2000, but still very 90s thriller ending. It's just the two of them going into an ambulance as credits roll, because you always had that ending in these movies.
Yeah.
Terrible movie. Terrible movie. Deservedly remembered as a piece of crap.
Yep.
Yeah, this is not well spoken of, but it made almost $200 million.
Wow.
What were people? Were people just
it was probably just the effects. It was probably just word of mouth on, some incredible stuff.
I saw Hollow Man. It was pretty cool.
Also, I saw Rona Mitra naked.
Yeah,
and she gets all raped.
Yeah. Yeah, $95 million budget, $190 million worldwide gross.
A success.
Yeah, but clearly they knew it wasn't good because they did the straight to video sequel, right? I think they did know, even though it made money, people don't like it.
Man, the 2000s is this new age we're moving into for this podcast where we are now obligated. It's not just the ones that hit theaters.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if you saw Hollow Man 1, you're gonna have to watch 2. And it's like, great, Dracula 3000's coming out. Can't wait.
It's just sequel after sequel after everything as a franchise starter, whether that's in theaters or not here. So yeah, that's why this will be, I think, our longest season, is because we're doing all the sequels to these things. But next week on the show is a movie I legitimately like. It is not a franchise starter, and it's kind of an indie. It does have great actors who are actually good in it, and that is Shadow of the Vampire.
Shadow of the Vampire.
2001 Shadow of the Vampire. This is a nice little treat, isn't it?
It really is, because, and in a way, a perfect movie for this podcast, because it is an actual vampire film, but it's also heavily, the whole point of it is leaning into the history of vampire filmmaking. So it's meta, and it has two great actors. At least, actually, everyone's good.
I mean, everybody's good. What? I mean, I'm very excited because we get Udo Kier back. Who
I know some Udo Kier. I know you can't get enough.
Love Udo Kier, but yes, John Malkovich, Willem Dafoe, two of my absolute favorite actors. Malkovich, man, is amazing.
Dafoe.
Well, and that's the thing that's great is you've got two guys who always play, or frequently play total crazies, and you've got them here. Malkovich sort of being the more grounded of the two.
Yeah.
Although certainly driven. You've also got Carrie Elways, who's back, who was in Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah.
Eddie Izzard's in it. I mean, I
haven't watched this in so long, and I am, just like you, very much looking forward to seeing it.
I remember, it's been a while for me too, but I remember really liking it when it came out. So we jumped to the next year, 2001, which will kick off with a good movie, thank God, before immediately descending into garbage. Because that's this show. We can't get more than a week, man, without.
But it's like water dwelling mammals. We have to rise to the surface every now and then, take that one gulp of air, and then we disappear.
Every once in a while, I have to be like, "Oh right, I do like monster movies."
Wait a minute, there's good to be had.
They can make some good ones. So that's Shadow the Vampire next week on the show. But that's going to do it for this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Brendan Jones.
And remember, there are such things as monsters.
Let's hear it for the boy!